Caspervision. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caspervision. Today we have Big Joe Egan, and this gentleman is an actor, speaker, retired Irish heavyweight boxer and sparring partner of Mike Tyson. What an absolute legend. And not just that, I mean, tell us a little bit. First of all, welcome, mate, and thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for the invite, Ben. Thanks for the invite, mate. Really appreciate it.
Mate, no worries. When we spoke to Willard Wigan, a good friend of yours, Dr. Willard Wigan.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
What a great guy. An amazing man. An amazing human being.
He is.
He's like a superhuman,
incredible,
mate.
The things he does.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I speak to him and he says this is just the beginning of great things. You know, he's already done great
First
things.
time I met that man was about 28 years ago. And I was managing a pub. My boxing career was finished, and I was managing a pub for a former Irish heavyweight champion, Paddy Finn, whose family had founded my amateur boxing club.
Yeah.
And when he retired from boxing, he went into the pub trade. And when I retired from boxing, I was in limbo land, and he gave me an opportunity to come over to the UK to work for him. So I managed the Dublin pub in Birmingham, in Digbeth in Birmingham. And I'm in the pub this particular day, and this gentleman came in, introduced himself, Willard Wigan, and he showed me these incredible carvings that he'd done, these incredible miniature sculptings.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, I was blown away. I was actually knocked out.
He's the only one to have ever knocked you out.
Mike Tyson never knocked me out. Lennox Lewis never knocked me out. Willard Wigan knocked me out with his incredible workmanship.
Nice.
And what a lovely human being.
Oh,
Just
mate.
Yeah, such a gent, mate. He's so humble. He's a lovely guy, man.
Even when he received his MBE from the Queen.
Yeah.
And there's no arrogance about the man.
No.
There's no attitude. You know, he's a genius in what he does.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the fact that he works with these surgeons, he's got his heartbeat down to several beats a minute. He does incredible, like he paints his sculptings with an eyelash.
Yeah.
And the control that he has over his limbs to be able to work so intricate.
Mm.
And he is now working with the British surgeons to teach them how to get the heartbeat slower, so they're able to do microscopic surgery, internal microscopic surgery.
It's
amazing.
unbelievable.
When you think
when
about
you
a
hear it.
man that left school, that his teacher said,
horrible. Horrible
to
to him.
nothing.
Yeah.
You will come to nothing.
Yeah.
And look at what he's achieved. Greatness.
Yeah.
We speak quite regularly, and the one thing, like what you say, he's a nice guy. You know, he keeps on saying to me, he goes, Ben, you're going to go far. I know it. I know you're going to go far. That podcast is it's going to go great. And he's so inspiring. He really is. Yeah.
But he wants the best for people.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's a genuine good human being. Because when you want the best, not just for yourself, but for others as well, and you're caring, which he is.
Yeah.
And he wants people to do well.
Yeah.
Which is a lovely way for a human being to be, to want success for others, not just for themselves, because that's selfish then.
Yeah.
If you just want success for yourself, he wants the best for everybody. I see him, he's so admired all around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And his work is on display all around the world.
Yeah.
And the people that have his works of art all around the world, the admiration and respect that celebrities, royalty, the average man in the street, when you can appeal to everybody, from the common man to royalty, that's a very special human being.
Oh, absolutely,
that
absolutely.
poem, there was a poem by Rudyard Kipling called "If," and there's a part of the poem. I can't recite the whole poem, but I know there's a line in the poem that if you can walk with kings and not lose the touch of the common man, that will make you a man, my son. And that's the line.
Oh, wow, that's really good. Eh?
It's pretty deep.
Yeah. His brother's actually a really good
Wigan.
poet as well. His brother's a good poet as well, isn't he?
Willard's brother is.
Yeah.
Have you never read the poem "If"?
No, I haven't. My neighbour said about that. He's into poetry, and he said to me, you've got to read this poem. And I forgot all about
It's an incredible poem.
Yeah,
it's an incredible poem.
I'll look it up.
Rudyard Kipling, the man that wrote Jungle Book, and he wrote a lot of famous works of art, like, he was another genius. But this poem, "If," and the reason I know about the poem is because I went to a funeral of a man called Pat Roach, who was the wrestler, And I met Pat in Birmingham, and I watched him in a film. I saw Liam Neeson knock him out in the movie The Big Man.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was with my friend.
I can love
Willard
Liam
Wigan.
Neeson, mate. Love him.
Oh, Liam's incredible. Former Irish boxing champion as well.
Really?
And,
No way, I didn't know
former
that.
junior champion for Ballymena, yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
what?
he got knocked out by Liam in The Big Man. And when I was on Gravelly Hill in Birmingham, my friend Warren, I spotted Pat. So I spun the car around. I jumped out of the car. And I said, hello, Pat. I said, Joe Egan and my friend Warren. I said, I saw you getting knocked out by Liam Neeson in The Big Man. He said, Joe, he said, it's great to meet you. He said, I've been knocked out by them all. He said, Harrison Ford knocked me out. He said, Sean Connery knocked me out. He said, I've been knocked out by the best. He said, but he said, it was incredible working with Liam, he said, because when I was teaching him how to throw the acting punch, he went, no, Pat. This is how you get the power into the punch. He said, Liam, this is only acting. He said, you're not in the boxing ring now. Right? Anyway,
You got to twist your hip. You got to. It's all in the hip.
When Pat tragically died, I got an invite to his wedding, and his book had been written. The lady that wrote his book, she ended up writing a book about a friend of mine as well. After Pat, she wrote a book about the 5 times world kickboxing champion Cash Gill. But she wrote Liam's Pat Roach's book. And the book was called If, and they read the poem at Pat's funeral.
Right.
And it was an incredible, touching poem. And if you ever get the chance to read it, it's an incredible work.
Yeah, we will.
I'll definitely check it out.
If
Before we went pretty much live, I said to you, you know, like before we jump on, but don't worry about any swear words or anything. And you said quite straightforward, I don't curse, I don't swear.
No, I don't swear, I don't curse.
Is that like
Gutter
a turning
gutter talk?
Gutter talk. Is that
Gutter
from
talk.
like when do you decide? Do you know what? I'm not going to use that language anymore.
No,
and by the way, I'm really conscious now of not swearing.
Me too.
They use the terminology that boxers come from the gutter. I don't think boxers come from the gutter. Boxers come from very humble beginnings, and you fight your way out of humble beginnings to try to make a better life for yourself. But because you come from humble beginnings, you don't need to use vulgarity, trash talk. It's not nice. It's not polite. And no one really wants to hear it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a sentence any more important or any more worthy listening just because you swear.
Problem is, Joe, it becomes a bit of a habit when you do it,
Yeah,
doesn't it? You know,
yeah.
I'm guilty of that. You know, I swear
Just
for
don't
no reason.
yeah,
Don't even think about it.
Don't watch my main channel, okay?
I don't condemn it. You know, I don't condemn it. I'm sure there's certain times that I have used vulgarity.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that I haven't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure we all have a temper, and I'm sure during my temper I've let loose with a few vulgar words. You know, but I try not to.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's a nice thing. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, well, almost from the beginning of, you know, your school life? I mean, how did Big Joe Egan become Big Joe Egan?
Well, I'm the eldest of 7 children. I was born the eldest of 7 children. I got 4 younger sisters and 2 younger brothers. And my dad, like a lot of the Irish, Ireland's greatest export has always been its people. They say Guinness and water for Christmas, but Ireland's greatest export has always been its people. And for a country that didn't have a big fleet of sailing ships like the Spanish Armada, or the French Armada, or the Portuguese Armada, or the British Armada, we'd rowing boats, we'd our currachs. We got all over the world. You know, we're a small nation, but we've made an impact in the world. And my dad, he went to the UK, he came to England to work, and we used to come over to England to visit him and spend a bit of time with him during the summer holidays and Easter holidays. And I got bullied as a child in Manchester when I was a child. I made my Holy Communion in Manchester. And when I was 7 or 8 years of age, on the day I made my Holy Communion, I got my 2 front teeth knocked out.
Wow.
Two of the bully boys tried to take my medal. I held on to my Holy Communion medal on my waistcoat, and they knocked out my 2 front teeth. I got bullied in the UK because I had the Irish accent. I picked up the English accent to try and mix in, and then when I came home to Dublin, I got bullied in Dublin because I had the English accent. When the bully boys would finish hitting me, rather than them hitting my brothers and sisters, I used to jump back up and say, please don't hit them, hit me, you know, and I'd try and block as much
protect
of the
them,
punches
like,
and the
yeah.
kicks. Yeah, so you try to block as many of the punches and the kicks as you possibly could, and you learn to defend yourself. But my dad, because he wasn't around a lot, because he was working abroad, I had to become a man fairly quick, you know, to look after my younger brothers and sisters. So I was Big Joe from a young age, not because of my size, but because of my position of the head of my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
But my dad encouraged us to box, to learn to defend ourselves. Right. And that's what I started boxing for.
Oh, okay. So your dad taught you.
My dad encouraged us.
Right.
You know, he said, look, you've got to learn how to defend yourself against the bully boys. And I've experienced bullying all through my life. Even as an adult, I've experienced bullying. I'll get onto that another story through the interview.
Okay.
But on the 26th of July 1998, I was shot by the bully boys trying to work my business in a pub. But I'll tell you about that. People think it just happens to children, it happens to adults as well.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, it was physical bullying. And there would be a time frame for your bruises, your cuts, your broken bones to heal. Yeah. But now, because of computers and mobile phones, it's mental bullying.
Cyberbullying.
There is no time frame for healing.
No.
See an arm that's broke, they'll tell you 6 to 8 weeks it's healed.
Yeah.
See a heart that's broke or a mind that's tortured. There's no time scale. And these cyber bullies are causing children and adults to take their lives, because when I was chased by the bullies, you'd be able to run home, try to beat your gang of bullies that were chasing you, to get to your front door, close your front door, and your home was your castle and you were in a safe haven.
Yeah.
But now with these internet bullies and mobile phone bullies, there's no safe haven behind a closed door.
Because the thing is, I think Joe, we call them like keyboard warriors, because there's no consequence. You can type
they're not
anything.
even warriors. They're giving them a title of a warrior. Giving them the title of a warrior. What they are is keyboard wimps.
Yeah.
And because that's what bullies are.
But
bullies
there's no consequence.
Wimps.
I'm sure it, you know, let's say, for example, you got some cyberbullying, you know, I'm sure 99.999% of these people wouldn't say the things that they're saying to you to your face. It's just cowardice. It's just cowardice.
It's cowardice, mate.
Yeah. It is cowardice. That's what bullies are. They are cowards. They're pack animals.
Yeah.
You know, they go around in gangs and they bully and they pick, and I hate bullies, and I try to do a lot of anti-bullying talks to encourage.
I noticed that,
to stand up to the bullies. But that's how my boxing career started.
Okay.
To learn how to fight, to defend myself and to defend my brothers and sisters. I never thought I was going to be any good. I won several Irish titles. I won 4 seniors, on two under-19s and a junior, and I boxed for my country, Boxer Ireland, many times, which was a major achievement. I won a bronze medal in the Acropolis Games in 1987, which was I excelled a lot more than what I thought I would have as a boxer. I wasn't very skillful. I was just tough.
Yeah.
And I think.
Can I ask you something? Quite maybe a bit personal, but did you? And I'm only asking this because, ironically, I had this conversation with somebody yesterday at the gym, because we started talking about kickboxing, and I said I did it for a while, and I never actually enjoyed going into the ring and fighting. It was something I felt like I needed to do to represent, the kickboxing club that I was in, because I was always extremely nervous. I knew I was very capable of fighting well, but I was still very, very nervous. But I did it anyway. Is this something that you just couldn't wait to get into the ring and fight, or is it something that no? How did you feel?
I was terrified. Every time I fought, I was terrified.
Really?
And I'm not ashamed to say that. There's 2 spellings of the word fear. The coward spells it, forget everything and run. The fighter spells it, face everything and rise. And the fact that you got into the ring to kickbox, you're a man amongst men. And now women that are fighting, it takes a lot of courage to get in and fight. You know, you play football, you play golf, you play tennis, you play basketball, you don't play fighting. It's a contact sport, whether it be kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, boxing. It's full contact, and it takes a lot of courage, and that's something you're born with. You can give people skills, you can teach people how to fight, But if they haven't got the courage to fight, all the skills in the world is no good to them. So you're born with courage. You're not born with skills. You're born with courage. And that walk to the ring is so daunting.
Yeah.
And I watched the video Champions Forever, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Ken Norton, and Larry Holmes, 5 of the greatest champions of all time.
Yeah.
And they were talking about their experiences in the ring. And George Foreman, one of the greatest, he was talking about when he was getting ready to fight Ken Norton. He said, I looked across the ring. He said he was the finest specimen of a man he'd ever seen in his life. He was chiseled.
Yeah.
He said, I walked to the center of the ring. Ken Norton walked to the center of the ring. And George Foreman said, I was so glad that Ken didn't look down because my knees were shaking.
Really?
And I thought, well, this is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, admitting that he was scared.
Yeah.
And if a man like him can admit he's scared, why can't a mere mortal like me and a man like you, a mere mortal like you, admit that you're scared?
Yeah.
George Foreman, a great heavyweight champion of the world, went on to win the title at 45 again.
Yeah.
I think he's the oldest heavyweight champion of all time, an incredible man. And then I remember my first professional fight. I was at the weigh-in. I'm looking around the room. There's 5 or 6 big guys there with muscles and tattoos and hairy chests. I hope I'm not fighting him. I hope I'm not fighting him. Anyway, I went in to see the doctor. The doctor examined me. And he said, Joe, are you nervous? My heart was racing. This was just a weigh-in. My heart was racing. Stevie Wonder could see I was nervous. I said, yes, doctor, I'm nervous. I was terrified. He said, Joe, I've just examined your opponent and he's twice as nervous.
Oh,
happy days.
Nice.
Happy days. You know.
Do you think he told the other one that as well, though? The other guy.
Listen, it's an incredible achievement to go in and do battle.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what you're going in to do. You're combatants and you're going in to fight. But once the bell rings, that fear seems to leave you.
And I suppose that sort of, I suppose that sort of resonates towards where, you know, you're talking about these gang members and things like that. I think individually, if you were to put them in a room and ask them 100% honest, do you like, you know, fighting, you know, knife crime and all this sort of stuff? I think without their peers next to them, they would probably say, no, I don't like it. I don't want to fight. I don't want to start, you know, attack people. But collectively, with that peer pressure, I think that's what probably, you know, infuses the flames to do those like criminal acts, you know?
A lot of it is pressure, because if they don't join the gang, they're afraid they're going to get bullied themselves. So they feel safety in numbers.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with the bullying in any shape or form.
No.
I think that these people, these people that join the gangs and do the bullying are a scourge on society. You know, I just think that they shouldn't be allowed to get away with the bullying that they're getting away with.
No way, mate. No way.
You know?
A lot of them are probably scared, mate. A lot of them are probably scared.
Yeah. A lot of them are just afraid that they're going to get bullied themselves.
All this knife crime.
The gang.
Yeah. All this
they
knife
don't join
crime.
the gang. But that's where the boxing gyms and the martial arts gyms, they, first and foremost, boxing. I'm biased because I'm an ex-boxer, but I'll talk as if I'm talking about all the forms of fighting. But I'll just use boxing as an example. It's not just the discipline, it's the self-respect that it gives you and the respect that it gives you for your opponent. Because you know what you have to endure and you know the fear that you've got to go through to get into that ring to fight. So you have your self-respect and you've got the respect for your opponent, and that's earned respect for both of you. And that's an important thing in life to have, is respect for yourself, self-respect and respect for others. And these gangs and these bullies have no self-respect, and they've got no respect for others. They've got no respect for society. They've got no respect for the law. People criticize the police. People say, you know, condemn the police. But listen, look at the way society is with the police there. Imagine what it would be like without the police. There'd be chaos.
Absolutely.
Now, I've had my run-ins with the police, but I'm still an advocate for the police force because there has to be law and order. There has to be, so you can walk the streets as safe as possible. And even with them there, you're still walking the streets and it's not safe. You know,
they do a great job, Joe. Our last podcast guest that we had in was Harry Tangy. He's like an ex-armed police sergeant.
30 years in
30 years in the force.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable, mate.
VIP
I
protection.
admired him so much. My sister's husband, my brother-in-law, has just retired from the NYPD in New York, and my grandfather, my dad's daddy, was a sergeant in the Irish police force.
Wow.
You know, and my family motto in Latin, Fortitude et Prudentia, the Egan motto is keepers of the peace. I've done security all my life. I left school when I was 14 years of age. I was on the doors of nightclubs at 15. I left school with swimming.
Wow,
yeah,
what? How big were you? Because you're
Yeah.
tall. I mean, you're like, you got to be
6'1", but I was always big, you know. I was always big. But I
on the door.
I left school.
I've heard some stories.
Can I have a look at your ID, mate? Can I have a look at your ID, actually, please?
I'll tell you a funny story now about ID.
Yeah.
I was on the door. I started working a club called Jules nightclub in Bagot Street in Dublin. It was the Old Chivagos.
Is that Jules? Jules nightclub?
Yeah, Jules nightclub. Yeah, Jules nightclub. And it was Pat Gibbons. He was tragically killed in the Beaujolais wine race plane crash with Kevin Marin. There were several killed. It was prestigious to bring the wine back from the first crop of the vineyards, and they were coming back from France on the light aircraft, and it crashed, and tragically they were killed. But he owned the nightclub. And I remember all the pop bands used to come there. Depeche Mode came there, Wham came there, Phil Coulter. There was also it was a celebrity venue. Anyway, I was on the doors there at 15. They thought I was 21, and the head doorman was a guy called Declan Foley. There was Johnny McIntyre and Johnny Nugent, three great guys. Declan Foley was a hotel manager. Right. Johnny McIntyre was working for Aer Lingus, but he was the commercial side of Aer Lingus. And Johnny Nugent used to restore vintage cars. But there were three great guys. It was a lovely venue, but I was, as they would say, the muscle, because I was the boxer. Right. I was only 15. They thought I was 21. So this particular night, I was setting up the barriers, and as I'm setting up the barriers, two school teachers of mine came up to. Listen, this is funny, Ben, mate, this is funny. Two school teachers of mine, Mr. Doherty, who was Jim Doherty, was the physics teacher, and Mr. Cook was the English teacher. Now, they used to wear ripped denims and ponchos and clogs. So as I'm stepping out to bring the barriers out, I see Declan Foley stopping them because of the dress code. Ripped denims and clogs and ponchos wasn't the dress code of the venue. Yeah. And Mr. Cook, very well-spoken English teacher, he went, "Don't judge us by our attire. We are school teachers." So as I sort of peeked out like this, Mr. Cook saw me, and he was just about to say to Declan Foley, "Jim," he says, "the doorman here has stopped us," and he was just about to say, "it's a teenage disco." Right? But as I stepped out, I pushed Declan Foley to the side. I said, "It's okay, Declan. These were my school teachers when I left school years ago." And I went, "How you doing, Jim? Great to see you, Jim Doherty." And I ushered them in. So Mr. Cook said to me, "What are you doing here, Joe?" I said, "I'm a doorman, Mr. Cook." I said, "They think I'm 21. At that stage, I was 16. I'd been in the club a while. But it was funny. It was funny. I laugh about that story. You know, I laugh about it. But they were my school teachers, and I'd left school like a couple of years before. But I had a lot of fun in that venue, you know, and it was an eye opener for a young man. But to earn money, and to grow up so quick. Yeah, you know. But I thought I was going to make my fortune with boxing. I thought I was going to every fighter that climbs into the ring dreams about becoming a champion of the world. I wasn't good enough to become a champion of the world. I dreamed about it. I got to fight a lot of world champions. I got to share the ring with a lot of world champions, but I wasn't good enough to win world titles.
This is a question that
I have the safety net of security work. Yeah, you know, I've always done security work, and that's been my work in life, from static guard, store detective, bodyguard. I worked with Delta Airlines as an air marshal. I was in the FCA, which is the Irish part-time army. I was in the military police. Wow. And so I've just done security work, you know, and
you've done a lot.
It beats digging holes.
Yeah.
So when did you do the boxing? When did you have your first title fight? How old was you?
I had my first fight at 11 years of age.
What?
And I boxed at the time. The boy was 12 and a half, Stephen Collins. He went on to win 2 world titles. He won the middleweight world title. He beat Chris Pye for the middleweight title, and then he beat Chris Eubanks for the world super middleweight title.
Oh, no way.
Steve Collins, the Celtic Warrior. He beat me when I was 11. He was 12 and a half. So that year and a half made a big difference when you're 11.
Oh,
but they allowed it because of the size difference. I was bigger than Steve. So they allowed the age difference. But he beat me again when I was 16. He was 17 and a half. He beat me twice. But there was no shame to lose to that man.
Yeah.
You know, he's an incredible fighter. He fought out of America. He fought out of Marvin Hagler's gym, the Petronelli gym in America. And he fought Mike McCallum for his first world title. He lost on points. Then he fought Reggie Johnson for his second world title, and he lost on points. And then he lost to Sumbu Kalambe for the European title before he came from America to the UK. And then he won the WBO title, beating Chris Pyatt. Then he won the WBO super middleweight title, beating Chris Eubanks, and he beat Nigel Benn. He was an incredible, the Celtic Warrior, an incredible fighter. But he schooled me both times. But
I mean, the way you just roll off all these dates and names and things, you know, I think every boxer who are, you know, at least...
We love the sport.
Well, I was just going to say, you eat, breathe and sleep it, don't you?
Oh, love it. Like, you see Mike Tyson, we get on to Mike in a bit. Mike's like a walking encyclopedia of boxing.
Yeah.
Because the admiration and respect that we have for fighters all over the world, it's the most cosmopolitan sport in the world. You go to parts of Asia, parts of Africa, they might not be, you know, kicking a football, they might not be bouncing a basketball, but you can be sure to be a kid punching a bag.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most cosmopolitan sport in the world. And now with the women doing the boxing, it's even opened up a bigger global audience.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the 2012 Olympics, the best part of the 2012 Olympics for me was Nicola Adams winning the first ever female gold medal. That smile of Nicola Adams when she won the gold medal for the UK, the first female boxer ever to win an Olympic gold medal. And her smile.
What an accomplishment,
incredible. Oh, amazing.
That name will never be forgotten.
No, but listen, there was women before her. You know, the lady that sort of set precedent for women's professional boxing in the UK is a lady called Jane Couch,
right?
The Fleetwood Assassin. And she had a massive battle with the British Border Control, Boxing Border Control, to get a female license. Now, there was women making waves in America. You know, Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali, Joe Frazier's daughter, Jackie Fraser Hyde. These women were making waves in America because their fathers were champions of the world. But they hadn't made the impact in the UK. And Jane Couch, she fought the British Boxing Border Control to recognise professional female boxing. And now look at them. You know, the Irish girl, Katie Taylor, the undisputed champion of the world. You know, it's incredible. Boxing. Yeah. Women boxing is fantastic. You know, women.
Well, it just opens up a whole new world, doesn't it? You know,
it is. It's incredible, and I believe if women want to box, let them box.
Oh, absolutely.
The suffragettes did what they did for equality for women. There's women flying aeroplanes. There's women driving tanks. There's women carpenters, women surgeons. So why shouldn't they be allowed box?
Absolutely.
You know, I believe in equality. I've got 4 sisters. You know, if a woman wants to box, let her box. And at the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. Yeah. And they can entertain the audience as much as a man can entertain the audience.
Yeah.
You know, and they're very skillful. They're very, very skillful.
Absolutely.
You know, some of these women fights. Well, I could tell you about Jane Couch's fight. The first time I went to see...
They're vicious, mate. These women fight. They're vicious.
They come out strong, don't they?
They do, right? Yeah.
Listen. Well, they've a lot to prove because of them saying they shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah,
they shouldn't
it's
be
a stigma about it.
So they're going to say, oh, yeah, well, we'll show you. We shouldn't be fighting. We shouldn't be boxing. We'll show you what we're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And have they showed the men?
Yeah.
Yes, they have showed the men.
We had a similar conversation a few weeks ago. We had a pro surfer on here, big wave surfer. And we were talking about the women there now, like who surf as well. I mean, going back 15, 20 years ago, is very rare to see. When I used to go out surfing, rare to see a woman in the sea, surfing. But now
it's like 50-50, isn't it?
Yeah. It's amazing. It's really good to see.
Well, they should be given an equal opportunity if they want to have a go.
I think
they've
always.
I think they should be allowed.
Yeah. I think with certain things, obviously, boxing, I think you've got licenses to get through and things like that. Yeah. But regarding surfing, I think that what it was, they always had the opportunity to, but I think it was just also like maybe like frowned upon. Oh no, I can't do that. But then once one girl goes out and then
Yeah,
another
yeah.
girl, and then it's like, oh, this is the norm. This is
She
fine.
says president, and that's
Yeah.
it. She opens the doors or the floodgates.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then she can be a role model for so many other young women.
And like these UFC fighters as well, you know.
Oh man, UFC is absolutely brutal. Isn't it?
Listen. I've seen some of these girls in the cage. Incredible fighters.
Yeah.
You know, I remember watching. Oh God, bear with me on the name. She's the actress now. I think she's in the Expendables.
Yeah. Oh, let me just try and Google.
Not Cyborg. Her nickname wasn't Cyborg. What was her name?
I'm terrible with names myself, Joe, so I don't know.
I'm normally very good.
Yeah, I bet I can hear you while mate.
Sometimes I get caught and I regret having that last boxing fight. You know, that's what I blame. One punch too many.
You got nothing to worry about remembering all those fights, Joe.
What I'll do is I'll edit a picture of her on the screen.
Anyway, she was getting ready to fight this girl, and I'm not saying she took the girl for granted in any shape or form. She was conditioned to fight, but what she didn't account for that this girl had a lot of amateur boxing fights.
Right.
And when she came to the ring, the girl she was fighting...
Was it Randy? Randy?
No.
No?
No. The girl wasn't going to go to ground. The girl used her amateur boxing experience, and she stayed on her feet, and she moved around, and she used her boxing experience, and she beat the champion of the world in the cage due to boxing.
It was Ronda Rousey. Yeah, not Rousey.
Well, I think it was her first loss.
No way.
Her first loss. All right, she was making Expendables at the time, and she might have took her foot off the training, you know, a little bit. But when she got into fight, she wanted to go to ground.
Yeah.
And there was no way this girl or opponent was going to go to ground. She used her amateur boxing skills, and she stayed on her feet, and she danced around fleet-footed, and she boxed. And she fought to her advantages, you know, and that's what you've got to do. You know, you don't fight to your opponent's advantages. No. You fight to their weaknesses.
And Joe, do you think Ronda knew, like, didn't prepare for that fight as well as she prepares for others?
I'm not saying she didn't prepare. She would have been in fantastic shape. Yeah. But she hadn't maybe done due diligence on her opponent to know that this girl has had a lot of amateur boxing experience.
Yeah.
And I think she'd only been going on the cage experience. Yeah. You know, and probably seen her fight in the cage and thought, well, she's an opponent that I can handle in a cage fight. But when it got into the cage, the girl went back to the basics of boxing skills, and she boxed. And it's like when Mickey Ward fought Arturo Gatti, the trilogy. If you ever get the chance to watch this trilogy, incredible. Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, two great friends, very personal friends, right? But they had a great competitive streak in them. They had three amazing fights. But the first fight, Arturo Gatti stood toe to toe with Mickey Ward, right? Because Arturo Gatti was the Atlantic City fighter, and he used to bring the crowds in because he stood toe to toe. I knew Arturo. He's dead now, God rest him, and his brother Joe Gatti. But Arturo used to entertain the crowds because he stood toe to toe and fought. But in the fight with Mickey Ward was too strong to stand toe to toe with. So they had the rematch, and Arturo Gatti went back to his amateur boxing skills, and he boxed, and he beat Arturo Gatti. He beat Mickey Ward with his boxing skills. And then in the third match, and Arturo Gatti used his boxing skills again, so he ended up in the trilogy 2-1.
2-1.
But it was the same when Sugar Ray Leonard boxed Roberto Duran. The first fight, Sugar Ray Leonard stood toe to toe with Roberto Duran, hands of stone from Panama, and Ray Leonard was beaten. So in the rematch, Ray Leonard went to his boxing skills, and there was nobody could grace the ring like Sugar Ray Leonard other than Muhammad Ali. They were probably two of the greatest boxers of all time. Yeah. And Roberto Duran actually quit in the fight. No mass. I can't get near him. Right. You know, and he quit. One of the greatest warriors to enter the boxing ring. He just couldn't get near Ray Leonard because of his skills, because he went back to his boxing.
What do you think is the most important thing that you need as a boxer to have? Is
discipline is an important thing to have. Dedication is an important thing to have, because if you're not disciplined and dedicated, you're not going to train. And it's like having the best engine in a car. You could have the best souped up engine in the car, but if you've no fuel in the tank, that car's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to have listen, in our mind, we've got the fighting spirit, because you know you're going to walk to the ring, you're going to fight. But some of them believe the hype that they just have to show up. They don't put the effort into the gym, right? And if you ever put the effort into the gym, you know, in the road work and things like that, in the fight itself, you're going to be found wanting. And that's an important part of any athlete, is discipline and dedication. The sacrifices that you've got to make. The running is such an important part of a boxer's training. Putting them miles in on the road. You know, the early mornings, the cold winter mornings. I never liked the running. My dad used to encourage me to go running, and I used to, you know, want to stay in bed. I didn't want to get up 4 o'clock in the morning to go running.
4 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, yeah, you'd be on the roads for half 4 or 5 o'clock. You'd be out on the road.
Wow.
Rain, hail, or snow. You know, you have to be pounding them roads. Anyway, some mornings I was snug as a bug in the bed, and I didn't want to get out of bed, and Dad would call me, get up, because he'd be getting ready. If he was home, he'd be getting ready to go out to work or whatever, you know, and he'd give us all the encouragement when he was home to do this training. Anyway, I say, oh, Dad, I don't want to go up. He used to say, drag yourself out of bed. He said, it's like dragging yourself off the deck when you get decked.
Yeah.
And I used to say to my dad, Dad, listen to this. I used to say to my dad, Dad, no one's going to deck me. No one's going to put me down. I've got a chin of granite. I've got strong legs. No one's going to deck me. Anyway,
never say never.
When I boxed in the Acropolis Games, I had the first 2 fights. I beat an Italian, and then I beat a Canadian. And my eye was damaged. My left eye was damaged. And the Greek had won his way into the semi-finals. I'd won my way into the semi-finals. He'd won his way in with 1 fight. I won my way in with 2 fights. So they didn't want to give him a bye into the final, because he would have had 2 byes. He would have only had 1 fight into the final. And the man he would have been fighting in the final, which turned out to be Arne van der Leyden, the Dutch fighter who won 2 Olympic bronze medals. He would have only had 1 fight, the Greek, and Arnold would have had 3 fights. So they let me pass the medical, because my eye was damaged. My 2 cornermen, Mickey Hawkins and Jerry Hanna, said, you won't pass, Joe. Your eye's badly damaged. I said, let the doctor decide that. My heart ruled my head. I've gone in, the doctor examined me, and he let me fight. And I've come out, and I've said to my cornermen, I'm allowed fights. As I said, because the Greek would have had 2 byes into the final. So I knew I only had 1 round, because my eye was going to completely close. I suffered a lot with scar damage around my eye. One of my pro fights, I got 64 stitches around my face. I got across the top of the eye, down the side of the eye, across the cheek, across the other eye. I was always in hard fights. It was entertaining. So anyway, I'm in the semi-finals.
It's entertaining,
I'm in the semi-finals. I'm guaranteed a bronze medal, which was a major achievement. But I thought, if I win, I'm into the final. I'm guaranteed a silver. So anyway, the first round, I went hammer and tongs. I went at my opponent as best I could. And I was getting caught, and my left eye completely closed. So I've gone back to my corner at the end of round 1. I've sat on my stool, a little bit demoralised, because I could only see out of 1 eye. But I have to get off my stool for round 2, because the fight is in us, you know. We're warriors. So I get off my stool to go out to fight in round 2, and I walked onto a punch that I didn't see coming. The left eye was closed, and suddenly I'm on the deck. I didn't know I'd been even decked. So he's hit me. Wherever he's hit me, he's caught me. And I fell, and I'm lying on the deck, and I'm going like this. My cornermen, Mickey Hawkins and Jerry Hanna, they thought I was calling them into the ring. I wasn't. I was trying to find the bed sheets. I was looking at sleep.
You thought you was in bed?
I was asleep. I was on the floor in the ring, but I thought I was lying at home in my bed. And I looked at my bed. Right? Ben, I kid you not. Anyway, I turned onto my side. My left eye was closed. My right eye was open, and I saw the referee go 5. I went, I'm on the deck here. So I got myself off the deck. My 2 cornermen were in the ring at that stage, and I fell into their arms. But I got beat on my feet, and I lost to the eventual gold medalist. They beat the Dutchman in the final.
Oh, okay.
But I remember phoning my dad. And I said, Dad, I won a bronze medal. He said, well done, son. He said, fantastic. Because all I wanted to do was, that's what we want to do in life, is impress our parents. And,
of course,
impress our parents.
Yeah.
I lost both of my parents last year. I lost my dad on the 24th of April, and I lost my mum on the 28th of December. God rest them both.
Oh, sorry, mate. I'm sorry, mate.
All I wanted to do was make them happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember phoning my dad, and I said, Dad, I won a bronze medal. He said, well done, son. I said, remember you said, Dad, about getting decked? It's like dragging yourself out of bed in the early mornings to go running. You got decked, son? I said, yeah, I got decked, Dad, but I'm all right. I got up. I got beat on my feet. My left eye's closed, but I'm okay. I got beat on my feet. And I lost to the eventual gold medalist. But I said, Dad, you were right. It was like dragging yourself out of bed.
Yes, mate.
I really thought.
Oh, man, that's a brilliant story.
That's a good story. But you got the bronze, Joe.
Yeah,
you got the bronze.
man.
That's
I got a
decent.
bronze
Yeah,
medal.
nice.
I got a bronze
You
medal.
still got the medal, right?
Oh yeah, still got the medal. Yeah, still got the medal.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to.
I've had some hard times in my life.
Life's tough, man.
Like, listen. I've experienced hardship, and it's funny you say about I've got the medals, because I've got all my Irish medals. I've got my Acropolis Games medals, but all my boxing trophies. My family was evicted in the early 80s, 1986. Me and my brothers used to chop sticks. We used to chop logs, and we used to get the inner tube of a car. I'll tell you about hardship, and I say about boxers having humble beginnings. We used to get the inner tube of a car, and we used to cut the inner tube of a car across to make a big elastic band.
Right.
And we used to get a bag of logs for £1.50, and we used to chop the logs into sticks, and we used to make a bundle of sticks, and we used to sell the bundles of sticks for 25 pence. So we'd make £7.50 out of a £1.50 bag of logs.
Yeah.
3 young boys.
Yeah.
Me and my 2 brothers in the back garden of my council house, my family's council house. So somebody reported us and said we were running a business from the house. Young boys.
Oh, man.
13. I think 13 or 14. So my one brother's a year younger than me, and my other brother's a few years. So 3 boys, 14, 13, and 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Anyway, the council put the rent up to maximum rent, and they backdated it 2 years, and they said we owed them £6,000.
Oh, wow.
Because you were earning a bit of money, just kids earning a bit of pocket money.
I'm not making this up. This is fact. And this is a country that I was proud to say I'm Irish. I represented.
Yeah.
My brother ran for Ireland. I boxed for Ireland.
Yeah.
Anyway, they tried to evict my family. My dad had fought them in the courts and was winning in the courts to show that were the young boys chopping sticks.
Yeah.
But the council wanted to make an example of the family, because other families were watching the case, and it would have set precedent if we'd have won. Anyway, so they sent the eviction letter out. But they sent the eviction letter to the wrong address. But lucky enough, the postman, funny enough, his name was Postman Pat, he brought the letter to the house. So my dad got ample warning to say the bailiffs were coming. And some of his friends came to the house, and they fought the bailiffs out for 4 days. The bailiffs couldn't get in. There was a battle. It was all front page news. Right. I didn't know this was happening. At this stage, I was away in Denmark boxing in Esbjerg and Copenhagen, and representing my country in the boxing. And my family was fighting a battle with the bailiffs. A wrong battle, because it was illegal what had been done to my family. It was wrong.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, during the battle, it was too much for my mum. 4 days of a siege. And my mother cut her wrists and stuck a knife in her stomach. She tried to kill herself.
Oh.
And my youngest brother was holding her, and he witnessed this. Anyway, I boxed in Esbjerg and Copenhagen. I fought Brian Nielsen, who went on to fight Tyson. And I was phoning home, and I couldn't get an answer on the phone. So I rang my nana, my mum's mum, and she started crying on the phone. She said, your mum's okay, your mum's okay. What do you mean my mum's okay? She said, your mum's tried to kill herself. My mum wouldn't do that. I said, my mum's the happiest woman in the world. Anyway, when I got picked up at Dublin Airport, the team bus dropped me at the bottom of the road where we lived. Now, we have a politician in Ireland called a TD, which is the same as an MP here. And we had our local TD, Sean Moore. He fought for my family to try and help them. They've actually named the road that I ran they named that road Sean Moore Road. They named it after that great man who fought to help my family.
Nice.
So when the team bus, because the driver of the bus knew what had happened, he dropped me at the bottom of that road. And I ran that road with my suitcase and my sports bag. So when I came into view of my family home, my dad was sitting outside in the rocking chair. But after 4 days of fighting out the bailiffs, they couldn't get in. The police were called in. You can't beat the police. They're the powers to be. So my father's daddy was a sergeant in the Irish Police Force. So my dad, respect to the police, he surrendered.
Yeah.
And there was pictures on the front page of him shaking hands with the chiefs of police as he came out because they didn't want to be doing this.
No.
Anyway, when I came into view of my family home, my dad was sitting in the rocking chair. All the family's personal belongings all smashed to bits on the streets. And they'd smashed all my boxing trophies. I had beautiful trophies.
Oh
the bailiffs had smashed all my boxing trophies. They couldn't smash my medals.
Yeah.
Because the medals are solid, but they'd smashed all my boxing trophies. So when people say,
there's no need of that.
Boxing trophies. You know, where's all the boxing trophies? Well, that's where my boxing trophies ended up.
How'd you deal with that anger, Joe? How'd you deal with that? When you must have been so fucking angry, man. You must have
You try to suppress your anger as best you can. Yeah, I was at the time.
It's hard when you're young, though, eh?
Well, the bailiffs.
I don't blame him, though, mate. To be honest with you, I mean, how old were you then, Joe?
Well, when they tried to evict us, 1986, I can't remember how old I was, but I was young when I was chopping the logs. I would have been 13, 14, you know, when I was chopping the logs.
You know, coming back and seeing
2 years of legal battles. There was 2 years of... So
16,
when
17.
the eviction happened, I would have been in my...
And seeing your mum like that, you know...
Well, there was front page news. They didn't open the front door because the bailiffs would have been in. So that put my mum out on a stretcher on the first floor window. She was put out the window on a stretcher. That was in the newspapers.
Unbelievable.
The bailiffs would have stormed in, and they were nasty. Yeah. Listen, Ireland had a history of evictions, and it wasn't right. And years later, them same politicians were all caught out scamming and scheming and stealing.
Really?
Oh yeah. That's fact. Yeah. You know. And what they done to us was wrong, and they shouldn't have done it. I'm not saying it because it was my family. We were a good family, you know, and we were only young boys chopping sticks.
Yeah.
It's not like we were building an empire in the back garden of a council house. We were young boys, you know. We weren't out stealing anything.
Young entrepreneurs, you know, putting your bloody mind to good use. But you know,
it was very hard at the time, you know, and. I still class myself as an Irishman. I'm still proud of my Irish titles, even though I'm in the UK making my living. I love the UK. Yeah. I've got a good life over here. Yeah. And I enjoy the opportunities. This country, I know there's been a history with the north of Ireland and everything else, but this country has given so many great opportunities to Irish people to come over and work, and not just Irish people, to nations from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, this country has given you a chance to better your life.
Yeah.
And still doing it to this day. There's people coming in, you know, there's refugees coming in that are leaving war-torn countries to try and get a better life for their families, and you can't blame them.
No,
you can't blame them.
We would do exactly the same.
You
know, when you're thinking about your family and yourself, you know, we would do exactly the same.
I came to this country to make a better life for myself, you know, so you can't blame some of these people that are leaving these war-torn countries and trying to make a better life for themselves, for their young children and their families and that. And this country has been so good to these people and to me and to people before me, you know, Irish people that come over.
Yeah.
But my life hasn't been a bed of roses. My life has been hard.
Yeah.
But if you look at a heart monitor on a hospital ward, right? This is an analogy of an example of life. If you look at the heart monitor, it's up and it's down, it's up and it's down, because that's your heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's up and it's down. When it flatlines, you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? So that's life, up and down, peaks and troughs,
Yeah.
And that's life. These things are sent to test us.
Yeah, you know, you've got to you appreciate the good because of the bad.
You have to experience the bad to appreciate the good.
Absolutely.
Of course you have to experience it. I've experienced a lot of hardship, a lot of badness in my life. but I've had some great times, and still having great times.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I have to question myself: is this really happening to me?
Yeah.
You know, even with the films that I'm doing.
Oh, mate.
I've recently just finished on a movie called Prize Fighter with Russell Crowe, Gladiator, the Academy Award-winning actor.
Yeah, we know Russell Crowe. Yeah.
Yeah, he calls me Joe in Prize Fighter, and in Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I know.
Iron Man.
Unbelievable.
The Academy Award winner calls me Big Joe. So I get called my own name in 2 massive movies by 2 Academy Award winning actors.
Yeah.
How good does it get?
Yeah, and I know the thing is, Joe, I know that you appreciate all these opportunities that you've been given because of the struggle, you know, when you were younger, and what you had to do, and what you've seen, and all the hate that you've seen and experienced, you know. So I understand.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. A lot of boxers come from tough backgrounds like that. They're humble people.
We said at the beginning of the interview.
Yeah. Well, look at Tyson Fury. Look at Deontay Wilder. And, you know, they all come from. They're all got struggles. They've all got little, you know. But they're and all the hype before a fight.
Oh,
they build up all this hype for the media, and at the end of the fight, they're giving everyone the respect. Of course they
have to sell the fight.
Talking about selling the fight, Joe. Sorry to interrupt. Talking about selling the fight. We spoke, you know, the other day we spoke briefly on the phone. But we were talking about, you know, women influencing the boxing scene as well. We didn't mention about the YouTubers. Because there's a bit of a it's like Marmite, these YouTuber boxing matches. Sometimes half of the professional boxers love it, some hate it, right?
Listen, let me tell you something now. This is my opinion. It's only my opinion. I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah.
Because Jake Paul, when he fought Tommy Fury, he was a man that was bringing 100 million plus viewers to watch boxing that probably would never watch boxing normally.
Yeah.
So 1% of them 100 million, after watching that fight, become boxing fans. That's 1 million viewers that the sport has gained. Now, that can't be bad for any sport, because then sponsors want to come on board because they're going to get seen by this massive audience worldwide. Now, not a lot of people have Box Nation. Not a lot of people have Sky Sports. Chris Eubanks and Nigel Benn and Michael Watson and Steve Collins became household names because they boxed on terrestrial television. When Nigel Benn boxed Chris Eubanks, there was 22 million people watched him fight on terrestrial television. He beat Coronation Street's points viewers that night, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
when you think about it, that was a massive audience, 22 million. So when you think about Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, 100 million plus on YouTube, plus the TV audience of another load of millions, it's got to be good for the sport. Yeah. And they put up a great fight. You know, take nothing away from them. Tommy Fury is a novice professional. All right, he's got his brother as heavyweight champion of the world, and the weight of the world was on his shoulders. Yeah. Jake Paul is a novice professional, white collar boxer. But they fought 8 rounds, 8 3-minute rounds. Yeah. I only ever fought 6 3-minute rounds. And I was a seasoned, well trained professional. Yeah. I was a seasoned 105 amateur fights, fought world champions, and I was well experienced when I fought 6 3-minute rounds, and that was very, very hard. These guys fought 8 3-minute rounds at a good pace as novices, and it was a good fight. And I take my hat off to both of them because I know how hard it is to get in and fight, and especially when you've got that much pressure on you. I never had the pressure like them two had on their shoulders. Yeah. Jake Paul had a lot of pressure on his shoulders because of the talk and the hype, and Tommy Fury had a lot of pressure on his shoulders because of his brother. Yeah. And the both of them acquitted themselves very well. It was a good fight. They earned a lot of money, and it is the hardest earned money in the world. Yeah, you know, because as I said, you play other sports, golf, tennis, basketball, football. You don't play boxing. No. So every pound, every dollar that they earned is earned the hard way. And the fight is the actual icing on the cake as such, because it's the build up to the fight. It's the sacrifices. Tommy made a big sacrifice. He was away from his young child. Yeah. You know, his baby had only been born for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah. You know, and he was in training camp for 12 weeks. Yeah. To miss 12 weeks of his young child. Yeah. And they earned their money the hard way. Yes, they earned a lot of money. Yeah. But they gave a lot of value for money. They gave a good, entertaining fight. And it was good for the sport because it's a whole new audience. And it was like when Andrew Flintoff, the cricket player, boxed, right? It got front page news.
Who did he box? Who did he box, Joe?
He fought an American. I can't remember the American's name. The American was 2-0 as a pro,
right?
And unbeaten in 2 pro fights. And Andrew Flintoff, who was an athlete, he was a cricket player.
Yeah.
But he got in and he boxed okay. He done all right. He got in, and all credit to the man. And he got in, and it was an entertaining fight. But it got front page news.
But they all seem to be doing it now. Did you see the Eddie Hall and Thor fight?
Listen, let me tell you something now. They are 2 powerful men.
Yeah.
They're men. So listen, they're training. Let me tell you something now about training, right? I understand a little bit about different forms of training, because these strength guys wouldn't be doing the cardiovascular work that a boxer would normally do.
No.
Because their training would be power. Rather than, it's like
not the knockout punch, boom, boom, boom. It's just
a sprinter does different training than a 1500-meter runner.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's different cardiovascular work. It's short bursts.
Yeah.
Whereas the 1500-meter runner would have to pace himself. His lungs are different breathing. The sprinter would gasp, hold his breath, whatever way. There's all different forms of training.
Yeah.
So these guys would have a different training method for powerlifting, for strength. And when Eddie Hall lifted the 1/2 ton.
Yeah.
And he could deadlift the 1/2 ton. I watched that.
Yeah,
I spoke to Eddie about this.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, I know Eddie. Yeah. A friend of mine.
I saw him a couple of years ago at the.
I was introduced to Eddie by a friend of mine, Lee from Stoke, who has his company called Low Cost Roofing in Stoke. And Lee is Eddie's friend. And Lee's an ex-soldier, ex-British soldier, an incredible man. And he introduced me to Eddie, and we've become good friends.
Oh, nice.
Anyway. Yeah, we've become good friends. But Eddie's training will be different for powerlifting and strength and weights than for boxing. So for him to be able to turn over and compete, get himself, he lost all that muscle.
Yeah.
He lost all that muscle to come in and box. And Thor's background as well, I believe, is powerlifting and strength.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that was that because they were rivals. They was all about
listen, that's what makes a good fight.
Yeah. They were great friends.
There has to be rivalry to sell a fight. You can't be going into a fight and smiling at each other before the first bell. You've got to go into that fight snarling at each other.
Good luck, mate.
Right? Because you've got to psych yourself up.
Yeah.
I boxed in 1984. I boxed a man called Cathal Ryan into the finals of the Irish Championships. Now, I'd won my way to the finals. Cathal had won his way to the finals. He was the Irish senior champion before me. And he was also the head doorman in the nightclub where I worked. So he's won his way to the finals. I've won my way to the finals. A very personal friend. I was his best man at his wedding.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, we in the National Stadium, we had the Dublin dressing room, and then we had the visitors' dressing room. But because we were both from Dublin, they put me into the visitors' dressing room. Now, normally when I walked to the ring from the Dublin dressing room, I would walk one way. When I came out of the visitors' dressing room, I walked the way that I was used to walking. And I came up the stairs, and Cathal was in the hallway, shadow boxing, warming up. And I said, "Hello, Cathal." I said, "The very best of luck to you." And he looked at me, he said, "Joe, get away from me. I'm trying to hate you." Anyway, I didn't understand.
I literally just took the piss then. I was like, "Good luck, mate."
He still maintains to this day, he lives over in Minneapolis in America. And he still maintains to this day that I did that on purpose. I put him out of his
to get in his head,
Anyway, we fought each other. We had an amazing 3-round fight. We were busted up, and we went to work in the nightclub afterwards. Black eye bruises.
Oh, no.
People coming into the nightclub going, "Oh my God, there must have been a bad fight." We were after boxing each other.
Yeah.
But he maintains to this day that I did that on purpose. I genuinely didn't. But I put him out of his mindset. So you have to, in your mind, even though...
Who won the fight, can I ask? Who won the fight?
Toro Gatti and Mickey Ward. They loved each other. But on the build-up to the fight, they've got to despise each other.
Yeah.
They've got to have that much venom against each other to make them want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go running, to make them want to spar that extra round, to make them want to punch pads that extra round, to make them go through pain barriers, preparing. Because there's an old saying, fail to prepare, be prepared to fail.
Yeah.
So these guys would leave no stone unturned. They would do everything to get themselves ready for the fight.
I remember...
And in doing so, they've got to have a venom in them. I know, I never fought at world title level. I fought world champions. But I know that you've got to, you respect your opponent. You respect them enough that you train hard for them. But, you train hard for others, the women boxing. But at the same time, you've got to have venom. Yeah. And that venom is that you want to get in there and you want to win.
Yeah. I remember seeing a interview with Eddie Hall, actually, because, I think a lot of it is a mental game. Now, when he prepared to do this 500 kg deadlift, he heard about, there's always that famous story about the woman that lifted a car because of her baby was under it, you know? And
the adrenaline.
He was like, where does that almost animal instinct come from? How can I activate that? Because he knew that he could do it physically, but he knew that he might not be able to do it mentally. So he actually went to some sort of psychiatrist or hypnotherapist or something like that. And basically, he said that he had to put his mind into a state of, and he said, I don't want to tell you what I had to think of, but apparently you have to engage that fight or flight to a super high level. Yeah. So when he stepped up to that bar, he actually had to think to himself some really dark and really bad thoughts to get that almost like rage moment into him. And then when he lifted that, it almost looked like it was a piece of cake.
It nearly killed him, didn't it?
He went blind. He was bleeding out of the nose. He went blind.
When I spoke to him, I bumped into him at the Hyatt Hotel in Birmingham. Yeah. And that was after that achievement, incredible achievement. Yeah. And I walked over to him, I shook his hand. I said, when you did that deadlift, I watched it on the television. I said, you closed your eyes and you relished the moment. And you held on to it for too long. That split second, and it made
That's right. Yeah.
And he said, Joe, what a wonderful way to put it. I relished the moment. I said, you did.
Yeah.
You relished that moment. It was an incredible
All that preparation, you've done it.
Listen, he was the first man to do it. Yeah. And to be able to have your name carved into the history books.
Oh, absolutely.
You were the first man to do it. The first man or first woman to do anything, you know, is a major achievement. Yeah. The first man to walk on the moon, is going to always be remembered in time. Yeah. The first man to put his foot on the whatever, the lands that they find, around the world. Yeah. You go down in the history books, and Eddie Hall will go down in the history books.
Oh, absolutely.
One of the greatest strongmen of all time.
Talking about
record. But when he boxed Thor, it was a good fight. It was a major achievement for him to. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
That's rubbish.
Eddie Hall has proved that you can. Yeah. Eddie Hall, I'm not calling the man a dog. I'm just saying that's the saying. Eddie Hall is an amazing athlete.
Both of them,
and he converted from the powerlifting to lose all that muscle, that mass.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to compete in bodybuilding now, isn't he?
Oh, he's looking great.
He's shredded right down, and he's really
incredible.
I think
I met another strong man
because he was a pro swimmer for a long time as well, wasn't he? Beforehand, he was a pro swimmer.
I don't know his history in sports.
Yeah, he's a very, very good swimmer.
But all I know is he's a supreme athlete. Because to be able to do what he done at his age, to convert into boxing from being the one of the strongest men, if not the strongest man in the world at the time. Yeah. He's now doing the movies in the new Expendables.
Oh, is he?
Oh, mate.
He's in the new Expendables.
Nice.
Nice. I saw a video clip with him and Sylvester Stallone talking, and they were talking about Tyson Fury.
Oh, okay.
Tyson
That's another
Fury.
good friend of yours as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there's great camaraderie in boxing, But I've been very privileged with the people that I've met. I've met a lot of people over the years through my friendship with Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Well,
I had a lot of years sparring with Mike, and I got a lot of respect from Mike. Yeah. And I got a lot of respect around the world from people because.
How did you wind up sparring Mike Tyson then?
It's a funny story because I boxed on the Irish team in America when I was 17, And I was big for my age, but I hadn't got the man strength. And I fought in Atlantic City. I fought a big Marine sergeant called William Dawson, and he was a 28-year-old Marine, a 28-year-old Marine sergeant, and he was a strong man. And he battered me for 3 rounds. But I took the beating. I was good for taking beatings. I've been battered by the bullies.
Did you enjoy it?
No, listen. Let me tell you something now. The beatings I took off the bullies growing up, was tame in the boxing ring for the beatings that I took off my opponents, because there's only one man hitting you.
Yeah.
When the bullies were beating me, there was a gang of them. They beat me with sticks. They beat me with stones. They beat me with bats.
Wow.
In the boxing ring, there was one man hitting me. He had gloves on.
Yeah.
You had a referee helping you if you're in trouble. You had medical care at ringside. You had a break in between rounds.
Yeah,
it was quite safe for me at the boxing ring. Even if it was Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis hitting me, it was quite safe compared to what I've had to endure outside of the boxing ring. The boxing ring was safe for me.
Yeah.
And I took some savage beatings in the boxing ring, but nothing compared to the beatings that I took from the bullies. Oh. Nothing. No, I got. Listen, I've only been hospitalised from a boxing match on a few occasions. I was hospitalised many times by the bullies growing up.
Really?
Anyway, many times, mate.
That's horrible, mate. That's
horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. It is horrible. But listen, it's helped me become the man I am today. And I hope.
Have you ever met any of these bullies now that you're older and bigger?
Have I ever
met these bullies back in the school, back in the school days when?
You ever meeting in the clubs?
I've confronted a few of them over the years.
Have you?
I've confronted a few of them over the years and reminded them of what they'd done to me when I was a young boy.
How did you approach that?
I just approached them and let them know what they did at the time was wrong.
Yeah.
And I showed them the errors of the ways. But the thing is,
did they apologise? Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they did. And listen, when a man humbly apologises, you take that apology, and you accept that apology.
Yeah.
But it is hard to accept. But when a person says they're sorry and they're wrong for what they did, you've got to forgive, because forgiveness is an important part of
it. Must be sincere, right?
Moving on.
Yeah.
You've got to learn to move on. And the guy that shot me.
I've heard this story, Joe. I've heard this story about your pub. But I don't think Ben has. So.
Yeah. So
we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that in a little bit. But
okay.
The guy that shot me, I'll never forgive him.
No.
Because when I got beaten by the bullies, they weren't trying to kill me.
Yeah.
They were just trying to hurt. They were just trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
The man that shot me was trying to kill me. That's a different form of bullying.
Did he get arrested for that, Joe? Has he done any time for it?
He walked free. I won't mention his name. I'm not going to glamorize him.
No.
Even in my book, I don't call him by his name.
Right.
I call the man that got shot trying to protect me, I call him by his name. A man called Steve Dalton, the bravest man I ever met in my life. He ran in front of bullets for me.
Wow.
And listen, an incredible human being. Mike Tyson awarded him with a presentation at the Hilton Hotel, Metropole Hilton in Birmingham, in front of 1,500 audience. He called him to the stage and he thanked him for putting his life on the line for his brother Joe.
Oh,
and he presented him with an award, and an incredible moment. But a brave man.
What was he called? Steve Dawson.
Steve Dalton.
Steve Dalton, what a legend.
Dalton, yeah, an incredible man. He maintains that his sister and his wife was in the pub and he did it to protect them. As far as I'm concerned, he did it to protect me and protect everybody in the pub. But the guy that done the shooting was a nasty, evil man. 26th of July, 1998, a date I'll never forget. They put a demand in on the 19th of July, 1998 for protection money. And you think this only happens in books or films, it happens in real life.
That's like gangster. That's what gangsters used to do.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, and these scum, dirt on the sole of your shoe, had been bullying and maiming and killing for a lot of years. And they tried to cash in on me and my business partner's success. We were working hard, trying to make a business in the pub. And we had the Lions Club based themselves in the pub. We'd quiz nights. We were doing okay.
Yeah.
You know, and these parasites, bloodsuckers, they tried to capitalize on somebody else's hard work. And I'll bow to royalty out of respect. I'll bow to no man out of fear. I'd rather die standing on my feet than live crawling on my belly. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I won't do it. And when they put this demand in, I thought, no, this isn't.
Because it doesn't end there, does it? It just gets worse and worse. It's the beginning.
The following week, there was a lot of tension. The following week, they attacked with a Sunday communion in the function room, and 37 of them attacked the pub with hatchets, machetes, a handgun, and a shotgun. And I was very fortunate that the pub was frequented by a lot of ex-boxers, a lot of tough people, men and women.
Yeah.
The pub was called the Lyndhurst Pub on the Lyndhurst estate. And these people fought to protect me, to protect themselves. Headlines in the newspapers had said, the battle at the Lyndhurst made the Braveheart film look like a Walt Disney movie.
Oh, really?
And it was horrible. It was horrific.
Oh,
and nobody died, but these people that attacked came to kill. And I was very fortunate that day. There was brave people like Steve Dalton there to fight on my behalf and help me. But the man that shot me, I'll never forgive him, because, like I said, he came to kill. I won't mention his name. No. I'm not going to glamorize or glorify him. But see, getting back to the boxing anyway.
Yeah, you were talking about Tyson.
I boxed William Dawson in America, in Atlantic City, and I got battered. He was a Marine sergeant. And Floyd Patterson was in attendance. I was only 17, and I gave a good account of myself. Paul Fitzgerald, the featherweight from Arklow, he won and impressed him winning. And Floyd Patterson's wife was from Ireland. And it's funny, Floyd was Cus D'Amato's heavyweight champion. Jose Torres was his light heavyweight champion. And then Cus was the man that mentored and brought Mike to the heavyweight title. He tragically died before Mike won the title, but he was Mike's man.
Yeah.
And he made Mike what he is. Anyway, they were his three champions: Jose Torres, Floyd Patterson, who was the previous youngest ever heavyweight champion, and then Mike beat that record. But Floyd was married to an Irish lady from Offaly, and he took a great interest in the Irish boxing team. And he gave Paul Fitzgerald, the featherweight, the opportunity to stay on in America. Paul still lives in America. He lives in a place called Upper Darby in Philadelphia. I've been to visit him on a few occasions. I saw the Liberty Bell. I saw the Rocky statue.
Yeah. Run up there.
Anyway, yeah. It's not at the top of the steps.
Is it not?
No, it's not at the top of the steps.
I thought it was on CGI.
It's at the side of a sports arena, as far as I remember. But it was at the top of the steps for the movie anyway. He got the opportunity to stay on because he'd won and impressed him winning. And Floyd Patterson gave me the opportunity. He said, look, you don't have much skills. He said, but you got a lot of courage. He said, and you got a good chin. He said, and we can work on your skills. He said, and would you like to stay on in America? Now, I knew I wouldn't have had the money to come back to America. So I said, yeah, I'd love to stay on.
Yeah.
I remember phoning my mum. I said, Mum, I'm going to stay in America. Floyd Patterson has given me the opportunity to stay. She said, you'll never come home, son. I said, I'll be home next year. Anyway, I went to Gleason's gym. I sparred with a couple of pro heavyweights in Gleason's gym, Matt Tucker, I can't remember the other heavyweight's name. And I gave a good account of myself. And Bob Jackson and Al Gavin, who bought the original gym, of course, they said there's a young heavyweight in the Catskills called Mike Tyson looking for sparring partners. He's 17, the same age as you. He's actually 6 months younger than me. Anyway, I was just so happy to hear that this boy was younger than me. Because I've been so used to fighting men and only recently fought the 28-year-old Marine sergeant. So I said, yeah, of course. So I went to the Catskills. I was greeted by Cus and Camille and Marnie and Tom Patsy and Jay, and just a beautiful, warm reception. And then I met Mike, and Mike was smaller than me. As I said, he was 6 months younger than me, and he spoke with a bit of a lisp. And I thought, I'm going to batter you. But I didn't realise, I didn't know who this man was. I didn't know that he was knocking men out left, right, and centre. This guy was making shockwaves through America.
Oh, man.
I didn't know this coming from Ireland.
Really?
And yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea. Wow. I was just going on his size, his age.
Because when he started making big waves in the boxing world, what was he, 18? He was 18?
He was making waves at 15 years of age.
Yeah. He was going up against people.
I did a dinner show a few years ago with Mike and Frank Bruno in Leeds.
Oh, Frank Bruno.
They asked Mike and Frank what was their first memory of each other. And Frank said, I sparred with Mike when he was 15 and I was 20. And he said, I remember this ferocious, savage, aggressive animal attacking me in the ring. And then they said to Mike, what do you remember of Frank? He said he's impeccable manners.
Yeah.
He wasn't describing savagery. He was describing manners.
Good old Bruno.
That was what Mike was doing to people. I didn't know this. So we became instant friends through Barry McGuigan, because Mike had a fascination with Barry McGuigan and the relationship Barry McGuigan had with Mr. Eastwood, who I went professional with when I signed pro with Mr. Eastwood. Anyway, I knew the history of Barry McGuigan because he was an Irish world champion, and I was able to talk to Mike about Barry. So we became instant friends through Barry McGuigan. And when Mike did my book launch in Canary Wharf years later, Barry McGuigan came to the book launch with several other world champions, but Barry queued with the normal people. Thousands of people came to Canary Wharf for the book launch. I know everybody was there for Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson was there for me. And Barry McGuigan queued. And I jumped up, I went, Barry. And his boy Shane was 16 at the time. He's making a big name for himself now as a trainer. And Barry couldn't understand the affection that Mike had for him. And I told Barry on previous times that we'd met that Mike Tyson adores him. And then when they met, Mike asked Barry to come back to the hotel in Park Lane to have a private audience with him so we could talk to Barry in depth because of the love he had for Barry McGuigan. But at the time when I met Mike in the Catskills, he was fascinated with Barry McGuigan. He's fascinated with boxing. He's like a walking encyclopedia on boxing, Mike is. Anyway, we walked and we talked about Barry McGuigan. We walked and talked about the history of Irish boxing. And I was starting to feel sorry for him. I thought, I'm going to have to batter you in sparring tomorrow. You're a real nice guy. Anyway, it's funny. The next morning, we got up early. We ran for about a mile. Mike took off then like a gazelle. He was an incredible runner. Came back to the house, done whatever we did, got a bit to eat, went to bed for a few hours, and then midday getting the mini bus down to the gym in the Catskills to spar. And I was very confident. I was feeling full of confidence, because I thought I've got the measure of this boy. I'm bigger than him. I'm older than him. I had a lot more experience than him, and I felt confident. But suddenly I see all these big, powerful men that I hadn't seen the day before. They were in a different part of the house, and they were in an annex. They were walking to the minibus like men going to the gallows. They were walking so somber, but they knew what was coming. Stupid Paddy here. Stupid Paddy here. Look at these guys. Anyway, I'm sitting on the minibus. They're sitting on the minibus with their heads down, belt down. I'm laughing and joking with Mike. I'm 17. Mike's 17. We're teenagers, and I'm laughing and joking, full of the joys of life, feeling confident. Got to the gym, stripped off, shadow boxing, bandaged up, cuss went right, glove up. I'm looking around for Mike. Mike's in the ring, and he's got his shirt off, and he's bare-chested, and his physique was incredible. I'm looking at this 17-year-old boy with chest, muscles like incredible. His neck, he's
just a beast, biceps.
A huge neck.
There's no way a 17-year-old boy should have a physique like this. Anyway, Cuss pointed to one of the big, powerful men to get in and spar first round. Mike knocked him spark out. And I tell people, I'm not ashamed to say, I ruined a good pair of underpants at that moment. when Mike knocked out this big, powerful man, I crapped myself.
I bet, mate. I bet.
And I just thought, this boy has got incredible punching power. Anyway, he knocked out two more. I was number 4. And I got battered from pillar to post. But I stayed on my feet. Anyway, 2 more got in. I was back in again after them 2, and I got battered again. I did 2 rounds that day, but I got battered for 6 minutes. But the madness in me, because I believe to get in a fight, you've got to have a bit of madness in you.
Yeah, of course.
The madness in me, I thought, I'll get the better of you one of these days. I never did. I got battered by Mike for nearly 2 years, but it was the makings of me.
But you must have learned a lot, though, right?
I really believe that if I could take the beatings of Mike Tyson, I could take the beatings of any man. And boxing is a lot of psychological warfare. And when they were looking for an opponent to fight Lennox Lewis, I got beaten in the New York Golden Gloves. I got beaten by a guy called Sinclair Babb.
Right.
And Sinclair Babb went on to win the New York. I got carried away with myself because I fought in the annex of Madison Square Gardens. And my dad used to say to me, one fight at a time, son. One fight at a time. Don't be thinking of the next fight. One fight at a time. But I kept thinking to myself, if I win this fight, I'm going to be fighting in the main Madison Square Gardens, New York Golden Globe. Anyway, I got battered the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, whatever stage it was.
Yeah.
So I never got to fight in the main gardens. I got to fight in the annex. But Sinclair Bab went on to win the New York Golden Glove. So I lost to the eventual gold medalist.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, I lost to a lot of
great
strong boxers
that went on to achieve great things. But anyway, he got beaten in the American Championships. He got beaten by a fighter called Camulo Doom. And then Camulo Doom had boxed Lennox Lewis, America versus Canada. And Lennox had knocked him spark out. Camulo had knocked out Sinclair Bab. So Sinclair Bab wouldn't fight Lennox Lewis on the New York team. Now, it was the New York All-Stars, state and city, against the Canadian All-Stars in Alexandria Bay in 1985. So the star of the New York team was a boy called Frankie Lyles from Syracuse. He went on to win the World Super Middleweight title. And the star of the Canadian All-Stars was Lennox Lewis, who went on to win the World Heavyweight title. So the two stars went on to shine as world champions.
Wow. But
they'd no opponent to fight Lennox Lewis. So I said, I'll fight him. They went, Joe, the man that beat you got knocked out by the man that Lennox Lewis knocked out.
Yeah.
But I said, I wasn't knocked out. I said, I've got a good chin, and I've been taking Mike Tyson's punishment.
Yeah.
I said, if I can take Mike Tyson's punishment, I can take Lennox Lewis's punishment. And I did. I got battered by Lennox Lewis as well. I got battered by Mike Tyson, and I got battered by Lennox Lewis. But listen,
two of the greatest boxers in the world.
If you're going to get battered, you might as well get battered by the best. I got battered by the best of my era. It was an honour to share the ring with them. Yeah. They achieved what I dreamed of. I never could achieve what they achieved, but I shared the ring with them. And
why do you think, Joe? I hear this. I hear this because we previously had other pro boxers on as well, and I hear this on the media and stuff. Why is it you think that you could never be as good as XYZ? Because you're your own person, and obviously, you know, you've got crazy skills. Why is it? Because people are quite honest about that. I am not good enough. What stopped you being the greatest, do you think?
Limited skill. You can only do as good as you can only try your best at anything.
Is it the trainer? Is it the dedication?
No, listen, my best wasn't good enough.
Right.
I didn't have the natural attributes of Lennox Lewis, the height, the reach, the punch power, the speed. I didn't have the natural attributes of Mike Tyson, the punch power and the speed.
Right.
You know, so you got to fight to the best of your ability.
Okay.
And the best of my ability wasn't good enough to be a world champion. You know, it's like any sport. You know, these guys in the gym with Eddie Hall, they're training the same as Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
But Eddie Hall has just got that little
natural
bit
DNA.
Something special. Something special. Lennox Lewis has got that little bit of something special. Mike Tyson has got that little bit of something special. That other boxers, other strongmen don't have. Other soccer players like Ronaldo and Messi, the two greatest of our era. You know, why hasn't these other players that play alongside them achieve what they've achieved? Because they've got that little bit of something special. You know, and that is, whether you want to say it's a gift from God, it's not that they're making any more sacrifices than the man on the team with them. You know, it's not that they're trying any harder. It's just they've got that little bit of something special. And I believe that's something you're born with. You know?
Well,
I really do believe. And talking about special, Muhammad Ali was a very, very special human being. Not just the greatest man to enter a boxing ring, but probably one of the greatest men to enter the world. That man could have turned his hand to American football. He could have turned his hand to basketball. Boxing was privileged to have him. He was one of the greatest ambassadors for boxing. And he was just a gifted athlete. You know.
How do you think he would have measured up against the modern day boxer?
The thing is, with Muhammad Ali, he wouldn't have had the size of these beasts now. Some of these 6'6", 6'7", big heavyweights. He wouldn't have had the size, but what he had was the boxing brain. And it's not always size to win. You know, they say the good big man beats the good small man. It doesn't always work like that. You know, Muhammad Ali was an exceptional, skillful boxer, and
so
he was in against George Foreman in his prime. And he used skills, that bravery beyond courage and bravery beyond the he stood on the ropes and let George Foreman punch himself out.
One of the questions I have, I see a lot whenever I look at, comments of Muhammad Ali and Tyson, Muhammad Ali in his prime versus Tyson in his prime, who would have won?
I think Muhammad Ali, because I think if you look at the men that Mike Tyson had difficulty with were boxers. The first man to go the distance with him was, I think, James Quick Tillis. Then he lost. He beat Mitch Green went the distance with him. I sparred Mitch Green for that fight. I sparred a lot of future Tyson opponents. Mitch Green was one of them, and he went the distance with him. James Quick Tillis went the distance with him. Buster Douglas boxed and beat Mike. But Mike had difficulty with boxers. You stood in front of Mike and you fought. You were coming second.
Yeah.
Because of his power of punch and his speed of punch. When Mike was,
he's even so fast now. I've seen him just sparring. In fact,
incredible speed.
It's ridiculous.
Incredible. But the thing is, I said it in my book. When Cuss died, the best of Mike died. We never saw the best of Mike.
Do you think? Is that what you think? Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. Because boxers need minding. People don't understand.
It's like his dad, wasn't it?
Why boxers, and not just boxers, all athletes.
Yeah.
Because you've only got a window, a shelf life, a certain age. Boxing, maximum 35, I believe, is to me, is the time to be thinking about retirement.
Right.
Because your reflexes slow down, your body doesn't heal as quick as when you're 25. You bruise yourself or cut yourself when you're 25, you heal a lot quicker than when you're 35.
You're like Wolverine, aren't you?
Yeah. I just think that at 35, it's time to be thinking about calling it a day.
Yeah.
And what we were saying there was with Mike was 20 years of age, and Cuss had passed away.
Yeah.
And then Mike wasn't minded.
No.
The parasites and the vultures got grips with Mike.
Yeah.
And he wasn't minded.
Yeah.
And I just think that you've got to be minded from the trappings of outside world. You've
Especially
got to be
at that
in the
age.
zone.
Yeah.
But the thing is, drink,
Money.
drugs,
Yeah.
well, the money.
He
the
had
money,
everything.
the
He
money,
could have everything, couldn't he?
the world was his oyster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when Cuss was alive, Cuss kept him
Grounded.
protected, wrapped him in cotton wool, and protected him from the parasites, the vultures. The people that weren't there for Mike's best interest. Cuss was there for Mike's best interest.
Yeah.
And a lot of these supreme athletes, whether they be boxers, football players, basketball players, they have to be protected. They have to be protected by the management team, by the trainers, by the people that are there to guide them. Because life is a minefield, and especially when you're a supreme athlete, it's a nasty minefield, because everybody wants a piece of you. They want your money. They want to be your entourage. They want to take what they haven't got the ability to earn themselves.
Yeah.
They want to take it from you.
He's had a rough ride, hasn't he? Really.
I don't envy his life, even with all his achievements.
Yeah.
I don't envy his life.
Because I also
I'll tell
saw.
you a story. Listen to this story. Listen to this story, Ben. Listen to this story, mate. I'll tell you a story about a rough ride. Right? When Mike used to speak to my mother on the phone, and they used to talk, and my mum used to say, "Oh, Mike, thank you so much for looking after my son." He was battering me week in, week out, but I was still getting minded into Caspervision. He made me
Thanks
cry.
for looking after my son.
Listen, he made me cry so many times. He hurt me so many times. Anyway, this particular day, he'd been speaking to my mother on and off for 22 years on the phone. And this particular day, he said, "Joe, how's your mother doing?" I said, "She's not so good, Mike. She had a lump removed from her throat. And we're very concerned that it might be cancer." My Uncle Brian and my mum's brother had died at 47 of cancer, never smoked in his life. My mum was a smoker. So he said, "Let's go and visit your mother, Joe." So me, Mike, Scott Welch, who was the former British and Commonwealth heavyweight champion, he fought Henry Akamonde for 12 rounds for the world heavyweight title on the undercard of Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Wow. So the three of us, anyway, we landed in Dublin. And it was hysteria. Mike Tyson landing in Dublin. Yeah. Everybody knew that me and him were friends. They knew the history of our friendship. And I'm now walking through Dublin Airport, where I worked in Dublin Airport with Delta Airlines. I'm now walking through Dublin Airport. And I'm now going to walk onto the housing estate where my family have been evicted.
Oh
Yes.
yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm walking onto the housing estate where my auntie Linda, my mum's sister, was living, because my mum had been released from hospital and she was fragile because the hospital had the MRSA bug and they were worried about having her in the hospital. So they released her to the care of her sister Linda, who lived on the housing estate where my family was evicted from. I'm now gone onto that housing estate with the greatest heavyweight champion of my era. We went to visit. Oh, there was incredible emotions.
I bet.
Anyway, when we went into my auntie's front room, Mike embraced my mum. Now, this is a man that can break bones with punches.
Yeah.
I know what this man can do with punches. I was on the receiving end of his punches. People ask me, did I ever hurt Mike? The only part of Mike Tyson I hurt was his knuckles. He embraced my mum.
You're a very humble man, mate. I'm sure you did some damage.
I say it as it is, Ben. I say it as it is.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, he embraced my mum. And she was a fragile woman. And he embraced my mum. And he said, Mrs. Egan, he said, I remember when I was 18 years of age, his first birthday, after we joined him at 17, his first birthday, he said, Mrs. Egan, he said, you sent over a shoebox with some potato chips in the shoebox. It would have been Irish Tato crisps.
Oh, yeah.
He said, some money in an envelope. It would have been very little money. And he said, some sweatshirts. There would have been second-hand sweatshirts. This was 22 years previous.
Wow.
And my mother said, Mike, you remember that? He said, Mrs. Egan, he said, very few people have given me anything in my life.
Oh.
Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember that. Now, Scott Welch, he got choked up. He had to leave the room.
Yeah.
I broke down crying. Mike Tyson looked at me. He goes, I don't curse, but I'll just tell you what Mike said. He goes, Joe, motherfucker, you're always crying. He made me cry so many times. And he embraced me. He embraced me in his arms. And he embraced my mother.
Oh,
and mate. This is a man.
What a really nice guy.
This is a man that could have been a billionaire athlete. Remembering 22 years previous, a couple of packets of Tato crisps, a couple of pounds in an envelope, and a couple of second-hand sweatshirts. I guarantee you, and I guarantee both of you, could you remember what you got 22 years ago for a birthday present? No, I can't.
No way.
So for a man like him to be able to remember that, it shows you what it meant to him.
Yeah.
And his humble beginnings, that's what made him remember that.
Wow.
And he had, listen, when he was 10 years of age, he was out searching warehouses, looking for food. And he found a man hanging in a warehouse. And he searched the pockets. He searched the pockets of a dead body, trying to find money to buy food. Now, any 10-year-old to experience something like that would be so traumatized.
Yeah.
Brownsville, where he came from, was a very, very tragic part of Brooklyn. I lived in Bay Ridge when I lived in New York for a while, and I know Brownsville, and it's a very, very underprivileged part of Brooklyn. And Mike had the most humblest of beginnings in a very poor neighborhood of Brooklyn. So he experienced a lot of hardship. And then when Cuss befriended him, when he was invited to the Young Offender Center to see this kid spar, and Cuss said at the time, and Mike, I think, was 14, he said, this boy can become the heavyweight champion of the world. One of the prison officers had boxed professional under Cuss, and he saw the potential in Mike, and Cuss came and he saw this, and then Cuss became his legal guardian and took him to the amateur championships and almost to the Olympics. He lost to Henry Tillman in the American trials, who went on to win the Olympic gold, but he knocked Henry Tillman out as a professional. But he just didn't get to go to the Olympics. And Mike, as we know, achieved greatness, youngest heavyweight champion of the world. But Cuss died before he got to see him win the world. So he had to watch him from heaven. But Mike's beginnings into this world was so tragic. I don't envy his.
I mean, I saw a little bit of. I think I saw about 3 or 4 episodes of. Is it called? It's Tyson, I think, the Netflix special, I think it is, of his life story.
I haven't seen it.
I saw. I mean, even that alone was like tough to watch, you know. But I think what changed because I saw. I've seen some footage of Mike when he sees all of his belts and things like that, and he's just like, it's worthless. Don't care for it. He almost looks back at that period of his time as like he doesn't want to know about it anymore. Like, where does that come from?
This is only my opinion. because he wasn't a particularly nice person at the time because of his drugs. Mike had a lot of years of being on the drugs.
When Cuss left,
He wasn't a particularly nice person to be around. I can't live the man's life. I saw the parasites. I saw the entourage of trash that he had around him. These people that were just using him and abusing him.
Yeah.
And the management. I won't mention any names, because no doubt there'd be a lawsuit if was to mention names. But everybody knows who Mike's management team was when Cuss died.
Yeah.
And these people abused Mike and used him as a piece of meat. And he was very angry. And I'm not condoning drugs in any shape or form.
No.
But if you take drugs for euphoria, that's one reason to take drugs, right? But if you take drugs because you're sad,
escapism,
And I think that Mike took a lot of drugs because he was sad. And wanted to give himself a little bit of euphoria because what was happening to him?
Escape.
What was happening to him? You wouldn't do it to an animal the way he was treated. You know? And the thing is,
he loves animals and that. He loves nature, doesn't he?
Listen, he loves the pigeons.
Yeah, pigeons,
He loves the pigeons. He loves the pigeons because when he was a child running around the streets of Brownsville, the pigeons were his only friends.
Yeah.
He was a young boy with a lisp, probably being bullied, and he found sanctuary and comfort with the pigeons. And he still loves the pigeons to this day. And when he came to Birmingham to visit me, we organised. There's a particular pigeon that he loves. They're called the Birmingham Rollers.
Oh yeah.
Now, this is a defense mechanism that this bird has developed over years, because when the predator birds would come in to get the pigeon would just drop out of the sky.
Oh, right.
Because that was its defense mechanism, and it would tumble to the ground because it couldn't outrun the predator bird. So just as the predator bird would be coming in for the kill, this pigeon would just drop.
Just act dead.
Mike admired this pigeon. Mike admired this pigeon because of the defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It's called a Birmingham roller.
Right.
Anyway, when Mike said to me, "I'm coming to Birmingham, Joe," he said, "and I'd love to meet people involved with the Birmingham Rollers, these pigeons." So I phoned a friend of mine who was a journalist in the newspapers, sports journalist, and I said, "Is there anybody that we can get Mike to meet with the Birmingham Rollers?" He said, "Well, funny enough," he said, "there's a man called Horace Potts, who's the president of the Birmingham Roller Society." He gave me Horace. It's true story. He gave me Horace's number. I phoned up Horace. I said, "Hello, Horace." I said, "Joe Egan's my name." I said, "I'm Mike Tyson's friend." Oh, he said, "I know who Mike Tyson is." I said, "He's coming to Birmingham." And I said, "He'd love to speak to you, to arrange coming to meet you." Oh, he said, "I'd love that." So I gave him Horace's number. I phoned up Mike. I gave Mike Horace's number. Horace rang me back that night. He said, "I can't believe it." He said, "Mike Tyson's calling me Mr. Potts." He said, "A man like him doesn't need to call me Mr." I said, "That's the respect." That's the respect that he has here. Anyway, Mike came into Birmingham. We had a great time in Birmingham. And on the day he went to meet Horace, he didn't want any press. He didn't want any media. But there's a good friend of mine who's a former TV interviewer. And I asked Mike, I said, "Mike," I said, "there's a good friend of mine." I said, "He's been very kind to me." And I said, "Would you mind if he came along and filmed it?" I said, "There won't be mass hysteria with loads of media and everything." "Oh, Mike said, "No problem, Joe. He's a friend of yours. Bring him along." So I brought my friend along, who was a journalist, a TV journalist, and they only had one cameraman and himself. And they filmed Mike's afternoon with Horace. There was a few of the Roller Society there. There was a few of Horace's friends. And it was the most wonderful afternoon. Nice. I watched Mike doing, encouraging the pigeons to walk. Anyway,
so surreal. I love it.
Isn't it, mate?
Yeah, man.
They gave Mike, it's on film because my friend filmed it. A little bit went onto the news.
Yeah.
Mike gave permission for it to be shown on the news.
Yeah.
And the Birmingham Roller Society gave Mike 50 pigeons.
No way.
And Mike has his pigeons over in America.
I see that.
He doesn't keep them in Vegas because of the heat and that.
Because he's starting up his own farm now and things like that, isn't he? He's like this herbal remedy farm, right?
He's got the Mike Tyson rant. He grows the cannabis. It's legalized over there.
Yeah, because he loves it, doesn't he? He loves it.
Purposes.
Yeah.
But he still has his affection for pigeons, and he has a beautiful loft in New York, and I believe he's got another fabulous loft. Oh God, what's the other place? I know he's got a few of them around, scattered around America. And when he goes to the visits, but he loves pigeons.
Yeah,
any passion.
I'm surprised because he's got his own podcast, which is really good. What is it? Box, I think it's called. Tyson Box or something like his podcast YouTube channel.
He's on there with oh God, what's the guy's name? I've watched it a few times. Very good.
Really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Mike
I was surprised you'd not been on there, mate. Yeah.
I'd love to get on there. I've never approached Mike for anything. I've never asked Mike for anything other than friendship.
Yeah.
He's given me that in abundance.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Even Mike's contacted me many times. Joe, man, you okay for money, man? Do you need anything? Yeah. I said, Mike, I'm okay.
Man.
What
a legend, eh?
What's your passion, Joe? What's your passion now, mate? Because like with Mike, his passion, he loves pigeons. I love any type of passion. It doesn't matter what it is.
My passion is films. I've always loved films.
You're into
I've
films.
always loved films. I don't drink alcohol. No. I don't smoke. I don't really go nightclub or anything like that. You know. But I love films. I've always loved films. When I was a kid, I grew up watching films.
You're watching Vikings at the moment, aren't you?
Oh, I love Vikings. I love the history of the Vikings.
Yeah.
I love the history of the Vikings, and there's a part in the Vikings at the moment. Boneless is his nickname.
Right.
And
I've not seen any of this Vikings.
Oh, it's very good. Yeah. It's very good.
You've told me to watch it.
He actually ruled Dublin in the 700s.
Right.
The Vikings came to Dublin, and when you go to Dublin, you can do the Viking tour. I've never done it.
Right.
I've never done the Viking tour on the boats, but there's a lot of history of the Vikings. Listen, the Vikings are an incredible warrior race, you know. But the series is very, very good.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix. But I love films, and to go from a boxing career being over to get a break in films, I got a bite of the apple.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. What happened when you just, what was the big break in the movie industry?
Well, when my boxing career finished because of a car accident, I had a bad car accident and my boxing career was over. Yeah, I was after winning a fight, and I got 64 stitches around my face after the fight. And
right.
Yeah, it was in Belfast. It was in the King's Hall in Belfast. I was on Dave Boy McCauley's world title fight against Lewis Curtis, the American. I boxed on the undercard. I won the fight. I beat Carlton Headley. Went on to be the Gladiator Raid. It was a hard fight. It was a bloodbath. And I just wanted to go back to Dublin. I didn't want to go out in Belfast because my face was grotesque. The ribbons, stitches galore. So I went back to Dublin on a coach that my sister arranged to bring family and friends to the fight. And we dropped off a friend of my sister's. My sister's a chartered accountant. We dropped off a friend of hers who was a doctor, Dr. David Mitchell. We dropped him off. 5 minutes later, we're involved in a bad smash, and 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and my knee was shattered, my shoulder was shattered, my jaw was shattered. Anyway, it finished my boxing career. But who came on duty into the hospital at 8 o'clock? Only the doctor. We were out to drop it off at 4 o'clock. He couldn't believe it.
No.
And we always joked, if we hadn't stopped to drop you off, we'd have been ahead of that.
No way.
Anyway, it finished my boxing career. 12 years later, I made a comeback because I was broke. I needed the money. And there was a big write-up in the boxing news. It said George Foreman made the comeback after 10 years. Big Joe Egan made the comeback after 12 years. To get mentioned in the same paragraph as George Foreman was incredible. Yeah. But I won in the 5th round. So I won my last ever fight. And it was a hard
nice,
fight.
Man, nice.
But the thing was, I needed the money, and Haftu was a horrible master. And I fought. But I got a bite of the apple with the boxing. And it didn't work. I didn't make my fortune. I got a bite of the apple with the pub trade. It didn't work. I didn't make my fortune.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting a bite of the apple with the acting. So to get 3 bites of the apple is incredible. Some people don't get 1 bite. I'm very privileged and fortunate to get 3 bites of the apple. I'm enjoying the acting.
Yeah.
What happened on a stroke of luck? And it was a stroke of luck. We all need a little bit of luck in life. You know?
Yeah.
And there was a stroke of luck. I did a dinner show. There's a tribute to Joe Frazier. Joe was the guest speaker in the Hilton in London, and I'd sparred Mike Tyson for the Marvis Frazier fight. So I was invited to the show. There was all sorts of dignitaries and celebrities in the audience, but there was a man called Cass Pennant, who's the ex-West Ham fan, and he's the book author, book writer, publisher. Now, I knew who Cass was because my nephew Tom is a West Ham fan. So when I was introduced to Cass, half jokingly, half holding earnest, I said, you might write a book about me. He said, well, let me hear what you've got to say tonight, he said, and we'll see. So after I spoke, he said, you're very interesting. He said, if you can get Mike Tyson involved, we might be able to do the book. So I phoned Mike. I went to Custer's office the next day, and I phoned Mike. He was in Brazil at the time. And I said, this man might be interested in doing a book about me, Mike, but he said, he needs your involvement. So Mike came onto the phone to Cass, and he said, I would do anything for my brother Joe.
Oh, man, nice.
Cass couldn't believe it. Anyway, Mike came. He done the forward for the book. He came to Canary Wharf, launched the book in Canary Wharf. He did a tour while he was here, and it was probably one of the best days of my life.
Wow.
You know, thousands and thousands of people. As I said earlier, I know everybody was there for Mike Tyson, but Mike was there for me.
Yeah.
But Cass had a movie made about his life called Cass, and there was an actor in the film called Nonso Nusi. Tama Hassan was in the movie, and Cass gave me a part in the film. He gave me the part to play the landlord of the Britannia pub.
Nice.
So when I was on the film set, I did a couple of adverts in Ireland. When I was boxing, I was a big fish in a small pond. I did a Lions Teabag ad, and I did Murphy Stout ad. I don't drink tea and I don't drink beer, but I've done two adverts. So Cass gave me a part in his film. And when I was on the film set, I met an actor called Tama Hassan, who's an ex-boxing champion. And he took a shine to me. And he said, Joe, you've got a great presence on screen. He said, my agent could do something with you. Would you fancy an acting career? And half joking, half holding earnest, I said to Tama, I acted my way to a boxing career. I'll give it a go. Anyway, he introduced me to his agent, and his agent said, there's a part going in a film called Sherlock Holmes, directed by Guy Ritchie, for a character called McMurdo to fight Robert Downey Jr. So I went to the casting. The casting agents
just a little part then.
Yeah. They said, give an intimidating stare into the camera and say this line. So I did the intimidating stare, said the line. They went, wow, you've got an amazing.
What was the line?
Stare.
Come on.
Oh, I can't remember now.
We'll have to dig it up on the film.
Anyway, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got the part, and I've gone to the read-through and carriages. My nameplate, Joe Egan, next to Jude Law, Robert Downey Jr., Eddie Marson, Rachel McAdams, who went on to win the Academy Award for Southpaw.
Wow. Up
to Joel Silver, the CEO of Warner Brothers. Guy Ritchie, all the hierarchy of Warner Brothers, sitting around this oval table. Anyway, Guy went, Joe, I've been trying to get you in one of my films for a long time. I couldn't believe it. I went, you're joking. And Robert Downey Jr. leaned in. This is Iron Man. He says, Joe, you come with a fearsome reputation. I couldn't believe that these people even knew me.
Yeah.
But they knew me through Mike Tyson. Anyway, we travelled down in the minibus to do the practice fight. And Guy said, how are things, Joe? I said, things are okay, Guy. I'm making ends meet.
Yeah.
He said, has your agent told you much again for the fight scene? I said, Guy, I never even asked. I'm just so honoured to be in your film. When he told me, it was more than I got in any of my professional fights. I was deadly serious.
Wow.
I said, Guy, for that money, I said, Robert Downey Jr. can really hit me. You can kick me as well if you want to. He took a bit of laughing. He said, Joe, I don't want you being beaten up. I said, Guy, I've been beaten up for a lot less. I'll do a few weeks in hospital for that money. Anyway, I was deadly serious. I didn't have to get beat up then. And he put me into a prison scene that wasn't in the script. And I get called Big Joe, by Robert Downey Jr., an Academy Award-winning actor in a Warner Brothers movie directed by Guy Ritchie. And it's made all the beatings that I took worthwhile.
Yeah. No way, man. I've not seen it. No, I need to see it. I need to.
Oh, it's good.
I'll check it out, Joe. Definitely, mate.
No mother wants to see her son being beaten up. But my mum used to see me beaten up on screen. I was killed on screen many, many times. Two films I got killed twice. And people say, how can you get killed twice? I said, one film, I get killed as a human being and turned into a vampire, and I get killed as a vampire. And another film, I get killed as a human being, turned into a werewolf, and I get killed as a werewolf. So two films I get killed twice in. But it's only on screen. And it's all good fun.
Yeah.
And when my mum was alive, it made her so proud. But she never wanted me to box. I've done the boxing to make my dad proud, and I'm so glad.
How many films have you been in, mate?
Oh, over 60 now.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, over 60.
Because I looked, because I didn't want to sort of, I Googled them, right? Yeah. And we had Ian McNeice on here once before. And he's been in quite a few films. And there was a couple of films that Google said that he'd been in and he wasn't in. So I didn't want to make that error. So just list a couple, just a few, just off the top of your head.
Like Cass was the first one that I did.
Right.
I did The Magnificent 11, which was a remake of The Magnificent 7 as a football film. It was written by Irwin Welsh and it had Robert Vaughan, who was the last surviving member of The Magnificent 7. he was playing the gangster, and I was playing one of his henchmen.
Yeah.
And there was about 11 football players making the stance against the gangsters.
Right. Yeah.
So I got to work with Robert Vaughan, who I worked with on a couple of occasions. Did a Hustle series with him, and a beautiful, lovely man. And I've done Freight with Billy Murray and Craig Fairbrass. I've done Dead Man Running with 50 Cent. I've done both the Sherlock Holmes films. I did I Am Soldier with Noel Clarke. I've done Avengement with Scott Adkins. Vengeance Retaliation with Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones? No way, man.
Yeah, I worked with Vinnie Jones. I've done.
He's a funny bloke, Vinnie Jones.
Incredible character. Incredible character.
Funny,
another ex-athlete, another football player, ex-athlete, and I've done most recently Prize Fighter. I've done TV series. I've done some good
loads,
films,
mate. I mean, what a life you've had, you know.
Yeah. I'm very privileged. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
And the path are getting bigger with experience. I get to play. Pardon me. I get to play the gangster or the tough guy.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to give
You're
me
going to be next film, mate. You're going to be in a rom-com. You're going to be in a rom-com next one. Just say, be like the Arnold. You know when Arnold was sick and tired of being like the action hero, and he wanted, what did he do?
Kindergarten Cop
and Twins, right?
And Twins,
yeah. I think Twins was his first sort of comedy.
He did a good job. He did
really
a good job, you
yeah.
know?
Yakety don't talk back.
He's a good actor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. His films are incredible. I'd love to work with the man.
Oh,
you know?
mate, yeah.
His films are incredible.
He's one of his idols.
Mate, I've got his autograph. Me and the missus went to Madrid a few years back for his Arnold Classics. Yeah. And I got some VIP tickets to get to listen to his talk and that. And I actually planned it. I thought, right, well, there's the stage. Because obviously when you book your tickets, you can see sort of like a plan of where, the stage is and the seats.
Yes.
And I thought, right, well, normally when people are interviewed, they're usually on the left and then the interviewer is on the right. So I thought, right, so if he's naturally going to be facing this when I was working out where I could sit so he could be like in line seeing me. And so we all sat down, and he comes up on stage. I was like, "Oh, God, this is my moment," and everyone stopped clapping, and I just went. And he looked over. I went. And I was like, "Yay!"
Made up, mate.
And that was it, you know.
I have two very good friends of mine, Mickey Stalakovich and Kamal Singh, and both of them have met Arnold Schwarzenegger on a few occasions,
really?
And both of them sing the man's praises. I've met Sylvester Stallone on a couple of occasions, and a lovely man, a massive boxing fan. But I'd love to work with either of them.
Yeah.
I've worked with some big stars.
You will, mate. You will.
I hope so.
Get you on Creed 4, mate. Get you on Creed 4.
My dream in the acting is to be a baddie in a Bond film, a henchman.
Oh, yes, you'd be brilliant, mate. You'd be brilliant.
I'd love that. Listen, I love James Bond.
Yeah.
I've grown up watching James Bond. You know, and we all love the baddie in Bond, you know, the Odd Jobs and the Jaws.
You could play Jaws, mate. Yeah, you'd make a good Jaws, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I would love, I believe, this is what I believe, right? This is what I believe. And I don't know why it hasn't been done. And I think maybe because the history of the Irish and the English, it probably hasn't been done, because we've had a history of battling in the north of Ireland with the MI5 and the MI6. So it probably hasn't been done for that reason. But now the troubles are over. Thank God in Northern Ireland the troubles are over. It's getting to be seen as a beautiful part of the world that it is.
Yeah.
You know, Ireland is a beautiful country, and the north of Ireland is incredible. There's some fantastic scenery there. They've built now recently the Titanic Museum, and there's fabulous things.
I'd love to go there.
Coastline. The Antrim coastline is incredible, you know, but now that the troubles are over, people are coming from all over the world to now take in the beauty of Northern Ireland. They've taken the beauty of Southern Ireland, Western Ireland, and Eastern Ireland, but they've never been able to really take in the beauty of Northern Ireland because of the troubles. Anyway, Liam Neeson, as we spoke about earlier on, I believe that he would make a great baddie in Bond.
Yes,
I believe that they could have the Irish against the British MI5, the MI6, the Irish underworld, the Irish gangsters, the Irish mafia, whatever you want to call it, against the British in a Bond film. And if Liam Neeson was a baddie in Bond, I could be one of his henchmen.
That'd be amazing.
I would love that. Even, like, I don't mind.
Just be the main. No, go for the top, mate. Be the main guy.
No, I wouldn't be good enough actor. I'm not a good enough actor. Ben, I'm not a good enough actor. I'm not a big enough name. But to be one of the henchmen of the main baddie, to be his henchman, you know, to be one of the henchmen, I don't mind how quick I get killed or how quick I get knocked out. Just to be a baddie in Bond.
Well, easily. I don't mind them putting me in hospital for 2 weeks.
They'd have to call you One Punch or something. You know, that would be your nickname, like One Punch.
Listen, I would love to be a baddie in Bond.
Yeah.
I hope you are one day, Joe, mate. That'd be amazing.
Great, you know. Actually, I got upset in one of the Bond films when Daniel Craig is they showed him sort of, but they don't show him, but they show the scene where he's supposed to die.
Yeah.
I got upset because Bond's not supposed to die.
No, I know, mate. I was devastated.
I haven't seen the last one, but wasn't there some uproar about him crying? Wasn't he
you
crying?
Haven't seen the last one?
No, I haven't seen the last one.
He's just ruined it for you.
No.
No, but he's had some good experiences with the baddies. Xavier Bardem was a good baddie. He played a good baddie in the film, you know. And then the actor that's is in Django. What's the actor's name that's in Django?
Django, what film?
Fox.
No, not Jamie Foxx. Not Jamie Foxx.
The other one, the one with the tooth on his roof.
The carriage.
Yeah,
the carriage.
I don't know his name, mate, but he's an awesome actor.
Oh, I'll tell you his name now. Incredible actor. He plays a great baddie in there as well.
Yeah.
What baddie did he play? I can't remember. I'm not great with names.
Because he gets killed because they got the thing on his skin. Bond. Went in and the girl put the thing on her skin. He was in
Christopher Waltz.
Christopher Waltz.
Yeah. Christopher Waltz. He was in HMP Belmarsh in the Bond film, and he was locked up and he's on the chain. He was like Hannibal Lecter the way that him locked up.
Right.
And then Bond went to visit him, and there was this germ on the hand of the other visitor, and she gave it to Waltz in the film. But Bond isn't supposed to die.
No. And who do you think is the best? Who do you think played the best Bond?
I like Roger Moore.
Me too.
Because I thought Roger Moore was the perfect English gentleman.
Yeah.
You know, Sean Connery was an incredible Bond.
Yeah.
An incredible Bond, but he was a rugged working class man.
Yeah.
And I think Daniel Craig is that rugged looking man. But Roger Moore had that suave.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan had that suave look as well.
Yeah.
You know?
But see,
they had that. They didn't look rugged. They just looked handsome and debonair in the suit.
You wouldn't expect it. You wouldn't expect this assassin. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely.
I really like Daniel Craig. He's probably one of my favorites.
I remember when Dave
was probably as close to Sean Connery in that rugged look, you know, and he did look good in his suit and that, but I don't think he looked suave like Roger Moore.
Well, first of all, I thought, well, hang on, isn't he supposed to be tall, dark, and handsome? And I just thought Daniel Craig, boy, he's fair hair. I was like, well, that's not right. Straight off the bat.
Yeah.
I remember when the first film came out of him. I was like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a phenomenal actor.
Incredible, you know, incredible actor, and he's played a great Bond.
Oh, absolutely. He'll go down in history. Absolutely.
The one that I thought looked more like the English gentleman was Roger Moore.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then Pierce Brosnan, even though he's Irish, he had that sort of suave look as well, very handsome man.
Yeah.
You know, and they just had that debonair, suave look, you know, and you'd never think that they were capable of doing what they were doing in film as the assassin and the MI5, MI6 agent, you know, 007.
Yeah.
You know,
do you reckon Bond will come back? Do you reckon there'll be another Bond?
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course, there's going to be Bonds.
Oh, there has to be.
It's got to be.
But listen,
big money in it.
They're talking about Idris Elba maybe being a Bond.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Who?
Why not?
Idris Elba.
Why not? Idris Elba. Why not? Bond could be a black actor.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it doesn't say that.
No, I just couldn't remember who it was.
Why not?
Yeah.
Idris Elba is an incredible actor.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got the girl that she came up along and was one of the double O's, and she was the black actress, incredible actress. I can't think of her name. You know, but Idris Elba would play a great Bond.
He's every single film that I've seen him is banging, absolutely banging, brilliant film. Yeah.
They're talking about Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy would make a great Bond.
I love Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he'll be good as well.
Tom Hardy,
again, another actor. Every film I've seen him in, brilliant.
There's another actor, Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a great British actor as well. He's tall and suave. And
Doctor Strange.
I don't know who they're considering, but there will be an announcement soon. They're talking about the the Irish actor in 50 Shades of Grey.
I forgot his name.
He done the film Belfast. What's his name? He could play a Bond, a very handsome, talented actor. There's some great talent out there.
Oh, yeah.
Some great talent.
Yeah.
But they'll have to announce soon who the next Bond's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
If there is going to be another one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the last.
But he's died.
Yeah, but listen.
Oh, has he? Oh, cheers, mate. And I'm gonna have to cut half of this out, because
they don't show the body. They just show the explosion. So listen.
Yeah, maybe not. But Joe just told you he's died.
No,
he said Bond can't die. He told you he dies in the film.
No, he said there was a scene that looked like he could have.
When they did the Hannibal Lecter films, right? When they did Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that's brilliant, that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Incredible. Now, when Hannibal Lecter, they portrayed that image of this man eating people, this cannibal eating people. And then when Hannibal Lecter leaned in, you would cringe, because in your mind, they've created this image of this man chewing the face off people.
Yeah.
You never actually saw him biting anybody.
No. That's great filmmaking. Great filmmaking. Yeah.
So you don't actually see Bond die, but in your mind,
yeah,
they've created this image of these rockets landing and the explosions, and there's no way anybody could escape from that.
Yeah.
But if anybody can, James Bond can.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has Batman? How many times has Batman been in dangerous situations at the end of the episode? You think he's never going to get out of that?
Oh yeah. But Batman, these are superheroes. Yeah. And James Bond is a modern day superhero.
Funny enough, you've actually met. I can't remember his name. He played Scarecrow in Batman, and he was in
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Cillian. I met Cillian in Birmingham.
Yeah.
He was in Peaky Blinders. He'd done an incredible
Peaky Blinders,
job.
Yeah. Oh, and 28 Days
Stephen
Later.
Knight.
Yeah.
Stephen Knight, the writer of Peaky. I would have loved to be in Peaky Blinders.
Mate, Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, you'd have done well in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked my agent to put me forward for parts, but for some reason I never got a part in Peaky Blinders, and I loved the series.
Yeah.
I
loved it.
And,
I've not seen it yet.
You have to watch
Peaky. I've not seen it yet.
Oh, you've got to watch
I've got to. That's the next one on the list. Yeah.
Thomas Shelby, Arthur Shelby, the Shelby family. It's incredible.
It's unreal.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Tom
Hardy in there is brilliant. I love Tom Hardy's
Tom Hardy was fantastic in it.
Yeah.
And Tom Hardy got to do a film called Revenant with
Leonardo.
Revenant.
Epic film.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
What's the actor's name? Titanic.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
But as a result of working on Peaky Blinders with the actor that played Arthur Shelby, what's the actor's name? He was in Sherlock Holmes with me as well. He had a part in Sherlock Holmes, a bigger part than I had. Yeah, he had a bigger part than I had.
Yeah.
But he's an incredible actor. And he was working on Peaky Blinders with Tom Hardy. They became friends. And as a result of that, he got a part in that film, Revenants, with
Leo.
Leonardo DiCaprio. What a film that was.
Oh, mate, yeah, the bear attack in it.
That's another film, mate.
Jesus Christ.
See, the thing is, I've been in, there's times when I've seen that come up, and there's been, every time I've gone to play it, I'm gone I haven't got time now, because it's a film that I really want to sit down and invest proper time in it, because I know it's quite a long film as well.
Yeah.
But also, what I was going to ask you, Joe, is when you were doing these films and that, were you nervous in front of the camera? What about your lines?
No.
Was it all good fun while doing it?
No suffering of nerves at all. Because if you can climb into the ring to fight, and especially to fight the likes of Lennox Lewis or to get in and spar with Mike Tyson, if you can overcome that fear, and I tell people, if you can walk to the ring, walk to the cage to fight, nothing in life will faze you.
Yeah.
Because that walk is the most daunting walk that you would ever have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can walk in, you can do an interview for a job, you can talk to an audience. I've done interviews for jobs. I've talked to audience.
Yeah.
I've given speeches. I've lectured and talked about my career and stuff. And
brilliant. You're a good talker, mate. People. Yeah, you're a good talker.
Never fazed me, because if you can walk in to fight, nothing in life will faze you. So even when I'm doing dialogue with Academy Award-winning actors, I try to do it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I'm not a great actor, but to play a tough guy.
Yeah.
you know, I've had to live the life
You
of
make
a
a
tough
tough
guy.
guy, mate.
Yeah.
I've had to live that life, standing on doors of nightclubs.
Yeah.
I've had to be a tough guy, climbing into the ring to box. I've had to be a tough guy. So playing a tough guy
But
on
you're a big
screen,
softy deep down, aren't you?
I listen, BFG, big friendly giant.
Can you just say what? Can you just tell us roughly what's in your book? What's the name of your book? Because I will link that if it's okay with you. I'll link it in the description.
Called Big Joe Egan, and according to Mike Tyson, the toughest white man on the planet. But I sparred with Mike this particular day. There was 4 white sparring partners, which was unusual because normally there was some black guys. This particular day there was 4 white sparring partners. He knocked 3 of them out. I was number 4. I got battered from pillar to post, but he never put me down. At the end of the spar, Mike Tyson said, "Joe Egan is the toughest white man on the planet." Far, far from it. I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. But what a compliment from a man like Tyson.
Yeah, man. Gee,
you know, but the book was launched in Canary Wharf in 2005 by Pennant Publications, and it's recently been re-released by Sean Atwood, and it's available on Amazon. I did an interview, I did a podcast with Sean, and he did me a deal. He did me a deal to relaunch the book, and Pennant Publications, Cass Pennant had given up publications to go into the film industry, and he sold the rights to the book to Bonnier Books, and then COVID hit. Sadly, for the few years that COVID hit, people died, God rest them. But Bonnier Books never published any books because of COVID. And when I spoke to Sean Atwood, Sean said, well, they haven't published the book, and the agreement on the contract said if they don't publish a book for a certain amount of years, the rights of the book come back to the author. Now, the man that wrote the book was a man called Ranald Graham. Ranald Graham was the godfather of Matthew Vaughan, the movie director, Guy Ritchie's original business partner.
Right.
And Matthew Vaughan is married to Claudia Schiffer, the model. But Ranald wrote the book. He was the author. Cass published the book, but Ranald has since died. He died of motor neuron disease, God rest him. So then the book came back. The book came back to me and Cass. But Cass is busy with his films, and he gave me the rights to the book then. And then I was able to do a deal with Sean Atwood. And when I went to Ranald's funeral, I saw Matthew Vaughan at the funeral, but I didn't make a beeline over and shake his hand because I thought he's there, it's solemn, it's sad, he's there to bury his godfather, and I just thought it wasn't the place to meet the man or maybe try and get into one of his films. I just thought one day I'll meet him at a film and hopefully get into one of his films, and I can tell him that his godfather wrote my book and published my book, and he might have read it. But he does the kick-ass movies. He does some great films.
Oh, those kick-ass movies are kick-ass.
He's done some great movies. He's done some great movies. But according to Mike Tyson that day in sparring, I was the toughest white man in the gym that day. But what a compliment from a man like Mike Tyson. Yeah. And as I said earlier in the interview, you're going to get battered. You might as well get battered by the best. I got battered by the best. But he launched the book. It's been re-released now. It's available on Amazon. Joe Egan and Big Joe Egan, the toughest white man on the planet, according to Mike Tyson. The cover of the book is a new cover. It's a picture of me and Mike on the book.
I saw that. Very beautiful.
Sean Atwood published the book, and it's still selling 17, 18 years on.
Wow.
But it's still selling because of Mike Tyson. It's not selling because of me.
No, you shouldn't put yourself down like that, Joe. You're great to talk to,
listen, there's an old saying, the biggest fool is the fool that fools himself.
Yeah, of course, but you've got
I'd be a fool to think.
But there's a reason why. Look, the thing is, there's a reason why you've accomplished so much in life, and it's not because of who you know. You know,
it's because you're a nice guy.
You're a good guy. You're grounded. You're humble. You know,
you're easy to talk to. You got a lovely story.
Yeah, you're a professional. You know, you are committed to everything that you do. Is clear. I mean, you wouldn't be in all these films if you were one of these guys that people didn't want to know, didn't want to speak to, and didn't want to show. Yeah. You've got a true talent in everything you do. So I think, well done to you, mate. Well done to you.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah. Thank you. But I enjoy meeting people. I've always enjoyed meeting people. I've been all over the world. I've boxed all over the world. I've got friends all over the world. I've got the same friends I've had since I've been a little boy, and I've gathered as I've gone along the road. I don't offend anybody intentionally. If I make a mistake, I say I'm sorry. Yeah. We're all only human.
Yeah, man.
We're not conditioned not to make mistakes.
We're not robots.
Sorry, I try and put it right. And it's carried me well. I listen. There's a lot more out there tougher than me, and like I said, I've
maybe not a lot more.
Maybe only a few.
Just a few more.
A lot more out there. There's a lot more out there tougher than me. And but you find that the genuine tough guys are the most civilized, the most
got nothing to prove, mate.
They've got nothing to prove. You look at dogs, right? You've got these dogs like Yorkshire Terriers. They make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yapping, biting, barking and yapping.
Yeah, trying to scare.
Then you've got these powerful fighting dogs, these mastiffs, these different breeds of dog that are powerful dogs, and they don't bark a lot. They don't make a lot of noise.
And things like that.
You know, and that's the same as human beings. What makes the most noise is a hollow object, right? And a lot of these men that make a lot of noise, it's because their heads are empty.
Yeah,
they make a lot of noise because they're hollow heads, right? And they just they growl and they give attitude because inside they're terrified. So they think by growling and snarling that they're going to intimidate people. The real fighting man doesn't have to growl or snarl. He doesn't have to intimidate. He knows that he can perform.
Yeah.
If push comes to shove. And I've been in the company of some of the best fighting men on the planet, and they're so polite, they're so dignified, and I just think to myself, that's the way to carry yourself. That's the way to carry yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
dignified.
Yeah.
Dignified.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
and mannerly.
Yeah.
And listen, it served me well.
Yeah.
Like I said, it served me well, and to get compliments from you.
That's it, mate.
Right.
Yeah, man.
It served us well on this podcast as well, Joe, because I don't think either one of us has said a swear word tonight.
I know.
That's so rare, Joe, I'll tell you, mate.
I try not to curse.
Yeah, I know, but it's rubbed off on us too.
It has.
We've done well.
Yeah. I might be able to put this as kid-friendly now.
It might get more viewers.
Oh, God. Anyway, mate, do you want to just throw down any links, like your social media, your Twitter, anything like that? I mean, I'm going to link your book.
I'm no good at doing my agents do the social media.
All right. Well, I know that you're
on Twitter.
Twitter, yeah, they do that. They do the Twitter and the Instagram.
At Big Joe Egan. There you go. You can find him.
Yeah. And it's EGAN.
EGAN, absolutely. Yeah. Mate, thank you so much.
I'm no good. Listen, I had 3 lessons on computers, and I knew after 3 lessons it wasn't for me. Because
well, you shouldn't have given it more than 3 lessons. I'll take back what I said about you're committed to everything you do. All right.
I did an audition for a film. Hopefully, it's going to come to fruition. A movie called Cabby, with Kim Coates from Sons of Anarchy and Malcolm McDowell, and I have to play the bodyguard of Kim Coates. And when I did the audition, I got the part. The casting agent was an English casting agent, and she was in Spain at the time. And the COVID was on, and she couldn't get back. And we did the interview, same as what I'm doing now over the Zoom.
Yeah.
So I did the interview, done the casting, got the part. So then she contacts me, and she said, "Joe, the casting agent, the director, Catherine, a German director based in Los Angeles, she said she would like to have a Zoom call with you." So I said, "Yeah, wonderful." She said she wants to see you and speak to you about the film and introduce herself. I said, "Yeah, fantastic." So we get the Zoom interview like this, and Catherine introduced herself, and she said, "Joe, have you read the script?" And I said, "I haven't read the script, Catherine." She said, "Has the script not been emailed to you?" I said, "Catherine, I don't do emails." I said, "I'm old school." I said, "I'm smoke signals and pigeon posts."
Smoke signals.
Took a bit of laughing. She said, "Joe, you are so funny."
Yeah.
I said, "It's true." And she's German. Yeah. And she started laughing. And I said, "It's lovely to see a German with a sense of humor." I said, because the Germans aren't renowned for their sense of humor. My sister's actually married to a German in Germany. He's a farrier, Andy. And I boxed in Germany. I was over sparring in Germany, and they're a nice race of people. But they aren't renowned for sense of humor. They're probably more stricter than the average race. Right. Probably more sterner than the average race. But they're still a good race of people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said it's nice to see a German with a sense of humor. She laughed even more. She said, "You are hilarious, Joe." She said, "I'm going to do something that I have never done." She said, "I'm going to post you a script." Because normally she would email the script.
So put it in an envelope.
And she posted me the script. And it was just funny. I read the script. I read it twice. Very good. You know, so hopefully the film comes to fruition. But I'm not good with all this technology.
No,
I remember this a few years ago. I had this mobile phone, and it was one of them flip mobile phones.
Oh, yeah.
Remember in Captain Kirk?
Yeah.
It was like one of them, right?
Yeah.
So I've got this phone, and I'm trying to work the phone, and at the one before that was a little bit easier to work. So I'm trying to work this phone, and I was getting so agitated I couldn't work the phone. So when I get agitated, I tend to eat. Now, you know, by the size of me, I must be agitated. I must be agitated a lot because I do eat a lot. People
you didn't eat the phone, did you, Joe?
People ask me what my favourite meal is, and I say my favourite meal is seconds. That's my favourite meal. Anyway, so when I couldn't get the phone working, I was agitated. So I saw the chip shop. So I went into a chip shop to get a bag of chips, calm myself down, eat the bag of chips, and then try and work the phone again. Right?
Oh, hang on, we've lost you, I think.
Hang on, I've got your back. Hang on.
That's your big hands pressing buttons accidentally.
So next of all, I'm in the chip shop. I'm ordering the bag of chips. I'm trying to get
calm down a bit.
And this young boy came in, schoolboy, and he looked at me and he goes, "You've got the same phone as me." And he was so happy to think that an adult had the same phone as a young boy.
Yeah.
So I looked at him, I said, "Do you know how to work this phone?" He goes, "Yeah, of course I do." I said, "Well, I don't." I said, "Well, you show me how to work this phone." So he showed me how to unlock it, how to get into the phone, how to bring up the names and numbers. And he made it look so easy.
No.
So after he showed me, I looked at the man behind the counter. I said, "His burger and chips and drink are on me." I said, "There you go, kid, and thank you very much."
Hey, nice, man.
And I looked up to heaven. I went, "He was heaven sent, that boy," because I hadn't got a clue.
No way, man.
I'm not one for technology.
Nice. Well, I think you've done well here, mate. To be fair, I mean, you managed to. I know it was help with your beloved there, but I really appreciate you coming on, mate, and telling us your stories. I mean, what a fascinating guy you are.
Unbelievable.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you, mate. I've really enjoyed it because I travelled down memory lane myself.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the interview.
Wicked.
And I hope your audience enjoy it. And
I'm sure they will, mate. I'm sure they will.
I hope so.